I am a demon king, but I don't do what a demon king should do. While other demons are thinking about how to invade humans, I actually make these blood-stained demons go cultivate the land. Even to make the demon realm's soil more fertile, I have them specifically collect fresh shit. But this action completely enrages them. The 4 great demon generals are planning to join forces and strip me of my position as demon king. Yet knowing all this, I have absolutely no intention of changing my mind. Because only I know that if I lead the demon army to attack humans now, I will definitely die at the hands of Pink Love Heart. Because that guy is the ultimate character I personally cultivated. Originally, I was just a standard otaku living in the 21st century. But through dozens of reincarnations, when I finally managed to cultivate a max-level, fully equipped character, I was transported into the game world. And looking at the transportation route, it was the one I personally named Pink Love Heart. I thought I could start an invincible and exhilarating life. However, when I saw the flashy appearance I designed and just complained a few words, the next second, the transportation route suddenly changed. And the next target was actually the demon king of the demon realm. I am now the one transported here by this cursed system. I really regret it. I shouldn't have complained about the appearance. At this moment, the arrival of the assistant officer interrupts my thoughts. My lord demon king, because you issued farming orders, the demon army's morale has plummeted to rock bottom. Internal violence and illegal cannibalism among our kind are increasing. The furious 4 demon generals believe the demon king has grown weak, so they plan to work together to chop off your head. This makes my situation even more difficult. I don't have the strength of a demon king right now. If those 4 guys team up, if they see my weak side, I'll definitely be slaughtered. Thinking of this, I suddenly have a brilliant idea. Since I couldn't transport to Pink Love Heart just now, doesn't that mean he's still a corpse? If so, I'll directly invade humans. But just as this thought emerges, the assistant officer brings frontline video recordings, and the terrifying existence in the footage is none other than Pink Love Heart. How could this guy be revived? Could it be that someone in reality logged into my account? I absolutely cannot encounter that guy right now, so I must prevent the invasion of humans. This way, showing weakness will result in death by the 4 demon generals. Invading humans will result in death by the character I created. So thinking it through, the way to resolve this predicament is to solve the food shortage and make these demons quiet. Fortunately, I attended agricultural university on Earth. I have considerable confidence in farming, but reality is cruel. This land in the demon realm has absolutely no nutrition. The same goes for nitrogen, which is an absolutely necessary component for plant growth. However, plants cannot directly use nitrogen gas, which makes up 78% of the atmosphere, because nitrogen gas is bound by strong triple bonds and hardly participates in chemical reactions. Therefore, humans developed nitrogen fixation methods through chemical processes, greatly improving food production. But this world has no technological industrial foundation, so if I want to fix nitrogen in a natural environment, the method would be lightning. Through instantaneous high voltage, nitrogen oxidizes into nitrite. If it mixes with rainwater and is absorbed by the soil, combined with Demon King Kratos's unique magic technique, this becomes ready-made fertile soil technology. So next, I first dismiss the assistant officer beside me. Then I use my demon claws to tear several bloody wounds. But damn it, this is way too painful. But just at this moment of hesitation, I suddenly feel inexplicable killing intent behind me. It's actually the 4 demon generals secretly watching me. Since that's the case, this bit of pain is better than being killed. So I steel myself and tear deep bloody wounds. However, the pain that comes directly still makes me unable to help but howl. And this also causes the 4 demon generals, who have been eyeing me like tigers, to all come before me at once. Our great Lord Demon King Kratos, are you feeling unwell somewhere? We have an unwritten rule for demons. The strong one is the Demon King. Hearing this, I'm already breaking out in cold sweat. These 4 guys are all top warriors, and I can't use any other skills right now. However, what I don't know is that my body trembling from fear appears to them as trembling from gathering power throughout the body before battle, and they even feel tremendous pressure. But fortunately, I'm not the only one rebelling right now. With your current strength, do you think you can defeat all 4 of us? Then when I confidently turn around, I discover these despicable guys have already quietly hidden behind the big tree. Those lips are clearly expressing that they want to see the results of his battle first before deciding whether to join the fight. This is truly the kind of despicable tactic only demons could pull. But before I can react, the assistant officer beside me directly opens a live broadcast. According to demon tradition spanning thousands of years, this duel will be broadcast live. What the hell? I had specifically tested my strength before, but the result was only a vague feeling. However, before I can react, Vampire Prince Asura rushes at me with a long sword. The moment I see that movement, I immediately think it should be a thrust or slash from the game. How could someone who just arrived like me dodge this kind of attack? But the next second, my body skillfully evades it. The second step is the left foot pointing outward, which means he's about to use a thrust. It's exactly the same as the pre-attack animation in the game. And I can even predict all of this guy's movements, because when I first encountered this guy during my game walkthrough, I didn't even have time to pray. He not only has swift startup attacks, but also wide area attack range. But through countless failures, I finally succeeded in defeating him for the first time after 128 attempts. In subsequent gameplay, I could already toy with him without taking damage. In other words, right now, I definitely won't be hit by this guy's moves, and my roar directly scares all the demon generals. In their eyes, I'm enjoying this moment and roaring at this pathetic Asura. Little do they know my roar is just celebrating that I've grasped the key point, because this world follows the rules within the game. At this moment, a familiar window suddenly pops up. With amazing focus, you successfully avoided all enemy attacks. As a reward, some previously used game skills will be unlocked. Target lock function. This is actually the key lock function when releasing special skills. Since that's the case, while locking onto the target, I execute the only attack skill I know how to use, Tear Hand. When blood touches this guy, intense flames engulf his entire body. Then the moment the flames extinguish, this guy limply kneels on the ground. But unlike the cheering demons, I'm shocked at his near-death state. This guy took a perfect hit, yet still hasn't died. Moreover, this guy has passive health recovery, so he'll rally soon. I must finish him off before he recovers. However, my action appears to these guys as me deliberately controlling my firepower, attacking only to non-lethal levels. The purpose is purely to inflict pain. But just then, the system voice sounds again, brutally tearing Asurath's robes and completely exposing him, therefore unlocking new function, equipment slot armor removal function. What leaves me speechless is that the equipment slot only contains the clothing on my body. It seems this function is temporarily useless. The urgent matter now is quickly dealing with the guy in front of me. The problem is, with my current attack power, I can't kill him at all. But just then, I suddenly have an idea. What if I continuously use Tear Hand on him? In other words, I can inject large amounts of nitrogen into the ground. Currently, it seems these guys should be scared by my actions. So I order Circe to tie this guy up tightly. But Circe thinks this means having a woman tightly bind a naked man, which is insulting both herself and Asurath. A moment later, I first prepare a lightning rod. Then when this guy regains consciousness, I use Tear Hand again. This way, nitrogen in the air will oxidize into nitrite. Then I order Hartok to spread thick fog over this area, so thick that water droplets can be clearly seen falling. Third is releasing the thick fog. Finally, I use Tear Hand again. By repeatedly performing the same operations, I can create high-quality soil rich in nitrogen. If I can achieve a great harvest in the end, just thinking about it makes me excited. So in the following time, I continuously repeat the above actions. The final result is also satisfactory. Nitrogen injection will proceed this way. Next, I need to improve the problem with this single-layer soil structure. This soft, single-layer soil structure neither allows oxygen to enter nor has good drainage. The soil structure should be layered like eggshells to be suitable for cultivation. So what I need to do now is composting. Therefore, I issue another jaw-dropping order, go find me shit. Hearing this, everyone immediately shows shocked expressions. They even imagine various scenarios. First, as a precedent, applying moisture to rebels, then using flames to roast and dry them, and finally coating them with disgusting coating. This is too cruel. Meanwhile, at another place in this world, the newly awakened pink love heart stares blankly at the human city. Though blurry, memories from past lives linger in his mind. This is already the dozens of lifetimes. He once moved toward that direction, following the guidance of the Hand of Mission pointing his way. But now he suddenly disappeared, and the Hand of Mission no longer shows him the path. So where should he go now? Time returns to not long ago. The 3 demon generals I assigned to collect shit now gather together with speechless expressions. Our Lord Demon King wants us to collect shit. Does he want us to personally shit? Just as this idea is voiced, it makes the Ice Queen Circe feel extremely disgusted. But Bahal beside her sets his sights on her. I haven't eaten for a long time, so I can't defecate. Hearing this, Circe becomes furious again. You are insane, don't be interested in my shit. Even if I have to defecate, I don't want to offer the shit to him. So they finally decide to capture low-level demons to defecate. So in the following period, strange scenes occur in the demon military camp. But the demon residents have never seen such a scene. The residents say that being watched by so many people makes even the shit they want to defecate retreat back. At least wait outside. At this moment, Hartok walks in, asking why they're dawdling. Can't squeeze it out no matter how hard you try. Hearing this, the resident squatting says his belly is completely empty unless they pull out his intestines and scrape them. The next second, Hartok thinks this is a good idea. He lifts the defecating resident high up and plans to directly scrape his large intestine. Fortunately, Bahal arrives in time to stop this behavior. If you empty his belly, that guy will definitely die and won't be able to defecate anymore, so he needs to be alive to keep defecating. This greatly shocks Hartok. I didn't expect your wooden head could think of these things. If he eats your meat, will this guy defecate shit? As the words end, both of their auras suddenly intensify. Then they launch fierce attacks at each other. Just then, I suddenly appear and use Tear Hand to instantly knock both of them to the ground. You ignorant fools, is this the only guy who can defecate? A moment later in the demon headquarters, I'm still scolding these 2 idiots. Even if you can collect nutritionless shit, what's the point? What I require is shit that can be used for composting, then I simply explain its use. Compost is material that can provide nutrition to farmland. Regular composting materials include wood ash, weed piles, and farmland soil, plus eggshells and chicken shit. Among these, weed piles and wood ash can be solved by dismantling the abandoned houses we just saw, but the difficulty lies in eggshells and chicken shit. At this moment, I suddenly have a flash of inspiration. I asked the assistant officer to bring the demon territory map. Fortunately, the map is completely consistent with the game. Since that's the case, I quickly think of the perfect place to collect these materials. That would be the demon seagull's habitat. During gameplay, when wandering around various locations, these guys would appear at any time. This means they can freely consume delicious food in human territory and then return here to defecate and lay eggs. This way, it perfectly meets my requirements. At this moment, the assistant officer, seeing my intention, seriously reminds me. The demon seagull's habitat is also called the Cliff of No Return, because the cliffs there break easily, making it impossible to grip. Once you fall, you'll be swept away by the surging waves. I certainly know what he's reminding me of, because in the game system, players cannot reach that type of terrain, but I have a secret technique. The scene shifts to us arriving at the demon seagull's habitat. This leaves everyone puzzled, unable to figure out what I'm thinking. Since ancient times, many demons have challenged to catch those seagulls repeatedly, but in the end, they all just became food for the waves. At this moment, I tell the 4 people behind me. Later, I'll climb to the top and throw down the filled eggshells. You guys better catch them properly. If this operation succeeds, all demons will have full meals. Then, under everyone's gaze, I slowly walk toward the cliff. During gameplay, to reach the summit, though I experienced countless failures, I finally found that method. First, I leap high, then grab the loose cliff. Then I use the equipment removal function. While everyone looks confused, I shout loudly, "Strip!" At this moment, they can't believe their eyes, because I've already wedged my body tightly into the cliff wall, but my back of the head, arms, and smooth thighs are all outside the wall. Then I suddenly rotate my body. This scene makes the only female demon general terrified and uneasy. However, when I shout equip, I've already put my clothes back on, and I'm even perfectly wedged in the cliff wall. So in the following time, I repeat, naked, equip again. Before long, I successfully reach the top, and in a victor's pose, I look down at everyone. This bug was a method I discovered through countless tests, because in the game world, there's an inventory window for removing equipment and an absolute air wall that cannot be reached. Combining these facts, I conducted practical tests. At this moment, seeing me successfully reach the top, Bahal suddenly says he wants to come help too. Then before everyone can react, he directly leaps high toward the cliff wall. But without a game system, how could Bahal climb up using normal methods? As I expected, the moment this guy touches the cliff wall, the crumbling wall causes him to fall directly. Just as he's about to fall into the sea, I instantly grab his arm. But this guy's weight is really too heavy, making my arm feel like it's about to break. But then I suddenly think, why should I save this guy? Anyway, for me, he's one of the threats among the 4 demon generals. Wouldn't it be better to have one less? But just as I'm about to give up the rescue, I suddenly remember my good friend whom I once failed to extend a helping hand to. At that time, because I was too cowardly, I feared becoming another person to be isolated. But thinking about it now, if I could have been a bit braver, if I could have bravely stood up, and even done everything I could to the extreme, perhaps I could still see that brilliant smile. So with inexplicable will surging, I actually throw this guy directly to the summit. Seeing me injured, Bahal says he can't understand my behavior. But I feel that rather than abandoning followers and regretting it, this way is less painful. Just then, the system voice suddenly sounds. Even while not fully adapting to Demon King Kratos's physical body, you still gave your all. Therefore, you have gained the sincere gratitude of Bahal, one of the 4 demon generals. Based on this achievement, if you bring full happiness to your demon army, the system will unlock a mechanism that can accumulate powerful scores. Opening Happiness Accumulation System. After I rescued Bahal from danger, the system gave a new reward, Happiness Accumulation System. From now on, whenever demons feel full happiness, I can accumulate 1 happiness point. Later, these points can be used to purchase ability values. Currently, I'm only using 20% of the Demon King's original strength. The system requires me to first raise my strength to 100%, then I try clicking to increase stamina. The result shows the system requires 50 happiness points. Currently, these prices seem more expensive than I expected, but thinking carefully, if I can turn barren land into granaries, happiness values will skyrocket easily. Then I'll be able to become the King of Kings, and my survival rate will also increase. In this strange world, having someone feel grateful toward me is such a wonderful thing, but my evil expression at this moment makes Bahal fantasize again. Damn, his expression is like he'll tear apart anyone who dares disobey. Indeed, Kratos is an evil demon king. He really didn't save me for nothing. The next second, I directly pick up eggshells and order everyone. From now on, I'm going to fill these shells with feces and throw them over. You better catch them properly. Then I hurl the eggshells in my hands forcefully. The sudden attack leaves the 3 unable to react, and they can only stand there dumbly, getting covered in seagull droppings. But I'm only focused on my beautiful dream. This completes the first step of making making compost. I carefully mix the collected seagull droppings, eggshells, burned wood ash, and field soil together. Next, I directly order Circe to do this work, because she has many tentacles when transformed. However, hearing this, she immediately becomes furious. Ice Queen Circe's tentacles are not for handling filthy excrement, but the next second, I directly transform into a demon. If you want to sunbathe like Asura, I can satisfy your request. However, just as my words fall, Circe starts frantically crushing shit like she's on stimulants. Good job, that was really scary just now. Indeed, when dealing with these hot-tempered guys, I absolutely cannot let my guard down. Next, I order Hartok to spray mist in the air, but he unpleasantly says this will make the smell even worse. However, I just point behind me, and Hartok immediately flies above the fertilized soil. The final stage is placing the fertilizer in a dry place, and covering it with quilts made from seagull feathers. But relying on just these few people for work, the efficiency really can't meet my requirements. Indeed, to create fertilizer that can cover this vast land, I can only mobilize large numbers of demons. Although some parts are tricky, I must do it now, and I must use the Demon King's authority to push it forward. The scene shifts to a simple room where demon residents live. A small demon lies powerlessly on the bed. She's already starving to the point of death. She even asks her father beside her to definitely eat her after she dies. Otherwise, her father might also starve to death. This is the crisis facing the entire demon race. They can't defeat powerful monsters. The Demon King doesn't allow invasion of humans. The life they currently face is such despair. However, just then, the door suddenly opens. After seeing the visitor as me, the child's father shouts, "Lord Demon King!" The next second, I viciously say, "This guy seems to still have strength to speak, so take him away." Just like that, the two who originally had no desire to live are forcibly separated by these demons. What I need to do now is first prevent cannibalism among our kind, then order Hartok to emphasize more labor force. As the Demon King of the demon race, to achieve my goals, I must have this degree of dictatorship. A few days later, residents who have been handling shit feel that what they're doing now is too stupid. How could this broken land become fertile? There aren't even seeds. What are we supposed to plant? At this moment, I suddenly appear behind them, very curious about what to plant. Then I tell them to follow me. A few days ago, while inspecting this barren land, I accidentally discovered this patch of soil with wild-growing purple flowers. The demons following behind say the roots of this plant are poisonous. If accidentally consumed, it might cause severe abdominal pain and even death. Hearing this, I say, anyway, there's nothing else edible in this land. And by now, the experiment on whether it's edible should be complete. The demon looks confused about this. However, my next words make him immediately panic, because the taste tester is actually his own daughter. Then he runs frantically toward home, still praying his daughter is safe. When he opens the door, he sees his daughter eating something. But the daughter says eating this doesn't hurt, and her stomach feels full. Seeing the scene, he tremblingly confirms again. The little girl gives a positive answer. Just then, I appear behind him again. In the distant past, people on a certain land also found ways to turn those poisonous tubers into food, and through successful cultivation, they miraculously solved famine. This plant is called potato. Seeing me arrive, the little girl immediately gets excited. Respected Demon King, to bestow such grace upon humble demons, we're truly grateful. The next second, the system screen suddenly unfolds. Some of your demons have felt happiness. First time gaining happiness points +1. I look at the sincerely grateful girl, thinking that even as a Demon King, there's no need to always have a stern face. Then I show that signature demonic smile. Little one just need to eat their fill and grow up quickly. Hearing this, everyone breaks out in cold sweat. This isn't about fattening them up to eat them when they're plump, is it? He's truly an evil Demon King. After confirming through the little girl's poison testing that it can be used, with the direction we begin large-scale cultivation. This is also the first step I take to solve the demon race's famine. At this moment, I admire human greatness. As long as something looks edible, even if it's poisonous, they can process it into delicious food. So after several weeks of hardships, we finally cultivate potato seedlings. Now it's Bahal's turn to take the stage. The next second, he leaps high, then aims at the tender seedlings, and forcefully stamps them with his heel. During these days at night we freeze the potatoes, during the day we thaw them, then through Bahal's meteor stomping to torment them. Through these steps, toxins in the potatoes are released and directly evaporate. Freezing, thawing, stomping, and evaporation. Through these repeated processes, then drying and preserving them, finally roasting them slightly, they become edible wild potatoes. Since I've completed all the engineering, I should summon those demons who did hard labor and let them have a good feast. At this moment, I'm still thinking those guys will definitely eat with great relish. After these guys gather, I tell everyone the quantity isn't much, so each person can temporarily only get 2. Seeing this, the assistant officer curiously asks why I don't distribute all the potatoes. I explain that these can't possibly feed all demons, so the rest must be planted again to multiply by hundreds or thousands. But the demons who receive potatoes dare not eat them, because in their understanding, these are poisonous. Although the girl's father desperately explains these things are edible, the demons who didn't witness it still don't dare believe. Plus, my demonically charming smile makes them even more certain there's definitely a trick. But just then, to prove the truth, the little girl's father directly swallows a potato whole. Then, after a brief moment, he suddenly shouts tearfully, "Long live Lord Demon King!" After they confirm there's really no danger, the others begin wolfing down the potatoes. Seeing this scene, the little girl's father looks at the Demon King with awe. Lord Demon King actually gave us edible food. Then, the farming team shouts long live credos, but hearing this, I have a strange feeling. It's like advertisements for selling some kind of medicine. This must be changed. The assistant officer beside me thinks I can create food in barren land, yet look so matter of fact. Perhaps I really can prevent the tragedy brought by famine. Just then, the system reward also arrives. Your demon army feels happiness from enjoying delicious food. Happiness points plus 50. This is a proper reward. I can finally strengthen this physical body, but I can't determine which item to choose for now, so I finally decide to store these points first. But just as I'm thinking about the next plan, the assistant officer beside me suddenly seriously states, "Farmers, listen well. After work, go home and spread this news. Tell them there's also edible food in this land. For demons who can dig up wild potatoes, I'll issue food vouchers based on the quantity they dig." This series of statements makes even the Demon King beside him feel ashamed, just as smart as his handsome appearance. So in the following period, every demon diligently works at their assigned labor. Village demons diligently dig potatoes. One side produces immediately edible potatoes, while the other side diligently makes fertilizer. Of course, as the Demon King, I won't be idle in this atmosphere. Move that guy's position slightly more to the left, because I need to work hard making the most important nitrogen. Since fertilizer is now abundant, it's time for the next stage. I need to mix the fertilizer evenly into the entire land. But this land is really too vast. If I rely solely on the farming team to spread compost, won't they be exhausted to death? I really need to find external help. A moment later, I return to the Great Hall and order letters requesting aid to be sent to various city lords. Hearing this, the assistant officer says he's already sent out the aid requests, requiring them to fully support farming, but so far there's been no response. Could it be that the messengers starved to death on the road? This way, the farming plan can't continue well. Meanwhile, at the Demon Realm's first district, King's Cliff, Pickamil is reporting to the first city lord, Abesator the Undead Father. According to Scouts' observations, Demon King Kratos is engaging in farming and has even created edible things. Hearing this, the Undead Father arrogantly says, "That guy is indeed afraid of my power. As more and more demon undead die, my power will become stronger and stronger. That guy stopping war and starting agriculture is just a means to limit me. I still don't know that the messenger I sent out has been intercepted and dealt with by this guy, which is why other lords know nothing about the ceasefire and farming. Currently, his desired result is for demons to starve to death from famine and then become his army, after which he'll replace me as the new Demon King." Then he orders again, having Pickamil lead a team to destroy all my agricultural achievements. The scene shifts. After Pickamil arrives at the demon territory, he discovers the sun-baked Asura. That's truly vicious Kratos. After muttering a few words, he orders the imps, turn this wasteland completely into waste soil. At this moment, an imp discovers the core of farming that Scouts mentioned before, compost. Hearing this, Pickamil only feels this is divine will. He has everyone scatter all the compost into the ground. Even more cruelly, to prevent us from recovering it, he mixes it evenly into the deep soil. Asurath, tied to a wooden stake nearby, remembers that I previously told the assistant officer we must mix compost into the soil for deep cultivation, but the farming team alone could never complete this. The completely oblivious Pickamil even excitedly shouts, "You're doomed, Kratos!" Witnessing the entire process, Asurath, seeing the scene, is simply speechless. What the hell do these idiots want to do? Soon after, the exhausted imps are complaining about this broken land being turned over and over endlessly, but just a moment of distraction gets them caught by other imps. Don't think about slacking off. As long as there's still one small piece of intact land, Demon King Kratos will reuse it. Another imp nearby, looking at the land he's turned over, actually feels a sense of accomplishment. They work tirelessly turning the soil, completely unaware that the sun has quietly risen. So much so that even when being burned, they still console themselves. Because it's meaningful work, this result is also good. They even have happy smiles on their faces. In contrast, Pickamil, watching his subordinates disappear one by one, can't help but shed tears. My lovely little guys, you are the best. Meanwhile, I'm in the potato storage warehouse. Although I regret not being able to till the fields in time, this will also take quite a while. Currently, the potatoes are in dormant state. In this land, they cannot sprout, so planting them would be useless. It's like someone suddenly yanking sleeping potatoes from the ground. This directly scared the potatoes unconscious, causing their biological rhythm to stop. According to current conditions, after storing for 2 to 3 weeks, they need to be moved to a warm, dark place. Although I want Cersei to inject cold air, that attitude definitely suggests she's still throwing a tantrum. Hartok nearby also looks like he's ready to explode at any moment. If pushed too hard and they team up, this isn't the result I want. To satisfy the warehouse's constant temperature, I've also tried using farm workers, but it still doesn't achieve the desired effect. Thinking it through, what I can do now is inject nitrogen into the fields. Come on, let's go look at the fields. But when we arrive at the fields, we're amazed to discover the soil has not only been evenly tilled, but also filled with the smell of fertilizer. Seeing this scene, I marvel, this is simply a miracle. At this moment, Pickamil, hiding nearby, seeing my expression, thinks his plan to destroy the fields was a great success. But the next second, Bahal suddenly appears behind him. Lord Demon King. This guy was sneaking around behind the tree. Hearing this, I turn around to find Bahal is holding an undead. And this guy is also a small leader among the undead, Pickamil. Immediately after, I step forward and deliver a hard slap. Seeing this, the assistant officer looks puzzled about why I would attack before even questioning, but the answer is obvious. This guy's expression shows he wants to hide something. The guy who got beaten out of shape still wants to act tough, but before he can finish speaking, I follow up with a series of combo punches, and soon I am exhausted. At this point, the system, unable to watch any longer, reminds me to exchange points for stamina. So with my renewed vitality, I continue practicing my combo punches. Even though this guy already wants to confess honestly, I still show no intention of stopping. Just like this, while getting beaten, he reveals the reason. Asura ordered us to destroy the farmland and starve everyone to death. This confirms why the messages we sent out never received replies. It was these guys causing trouble in between. The assistant officer states this is blatant rebellion, but as long as we can suppress this undead force, we can not only establish authority but also warn other lords. Even without this reason, if we let it go unchecked, that guy will continue to interfere with our plans, so we should completely block these pests. At this point, the assistant officer asks how we can catch him. I think to myself that this guy can shapeshift like a ghost, and in the game he teleports all over the map, making every level a game of hide and seek. Since we cannot actively apprehend him, we need to find a way to lure him out. Meanwhile, the cute little demon girl holds her small shovel, staring blankly at the bound Asura. Little one, haven't you seen a handsome guy before? Hearing this, the little demon girl scratches her head, then politely salutes. Thank you for sacrificing so much for us. Thank you for making food production possible. This really infuriates Asura, who even uses his remaining strength to roar. You dare mock me? Believe it or not, I will swallow you. Seeing this, the little demon girl gets scared and runs away. Kratos, the moment I break free, I will definitely kill you. But the next second, he gets attracted by the sound of gongs and drums. When he sees clearly, he discovers the newcomer is actually the bound Pickamil, with a banner that reads Lightning Rod. But looking more closely, seeing the words second generation in an instant, he thinks tearfully, this way, wouldn't he not have to get struck by lightning from dawn to dusk? Next, I plant Pickamil beside Asura, even thoughtfully putting up an umbrella for him to prevent this guy from getting sunburned to ascension. The next second, I use rending backhand on both of them. Only now does Asura realize, damn it, they just became two lightning rods. The timeline returns to the demon territory. At this moment, I am facing the two on the stakes, excitedly collecting nitrogen, but this terrifying scene is clearly witnessed by Asura at the distant undead cliff. Kratos, you are such a bastard, my poor Pickamil. You must hurt. At this moment, I have already discovered the reconnaissance imp behind me in the tree. It seems he has been witnessing all of this. Since that is the case, old man, you dare to destroy my agricultural grand plan, I will make you regret it to your bones. Soon after, the cute little demon girl holds her small shovel, diligently tilling the soil. Seeing this, Azeroth asks curiously, what are you doing? Hearing this, the little demon girl responds, the Demon King and the 4 great demon generals are all desperately working for farming, so I want to help do something too. But Azeroth mocks, you inferior demon, you are just stupid. This guy next to me has already finished tilling the land. If you want to help do something useful. Hearing this, the cute little demon girl quickly stands up respectfully and thanks the barely alive Pickamil, you even help us till the land. Seeing such a cute little girl express gratitude to him, Pickamil is deeply moved. But Azeroth on the side continues with cold sarcasm, farming on this wasteland. Do you think it is possible? You will all starve to death anyway. However, the little demon girl does not listen at all, instead happily turns around and walks away, watching the little girl's retreating figure. For the first time, Azeroth feels regret in his heart. The scene shifts. In the Demon King's hall, we are discussing countermeasures against the undead, but the assistant officer questions my custom tactics. Asura knows it is a trap. Will he come to save Pickamil? I can confidently assert he would never dare come personally. He will only send some small soldiers. To make that guy come out himself, we need to eliminate all the attacking soldiers. Just like this, under my command, the demon generals are fully armed and waiting for enemy attack. But Asura, watching this scene through the reconnaissance imp, sneers continuously, even mocking these foolish demons with such a formation. How would I send out soldiers? Too bad, Kratos. I have only one purpose, and that is to destroy your farmland. Because he has already sent soul eaters to secretly attack the warehouse. As long as all the potatoes are destroyed, everything will be over. Little does he know, I have already seen through all of this. Welcome, little ones, to your graves. The first time encountering these imps during the game really made me feel despair. Asura's second elite core. These imps not only like to swarm in groups, but once touched, they will stick tightly, and they are detestable monsters that rapidly age players. However, after many attempts, I found a way to overcome them. That is to use lightning attribute skills. But the imps who discover it is a trap, turn around and quickly retreat without looking back, but they suddenly discover that the doors and walls are all covered with my blood. This is a big gift I prepared in advance. Then I use the rending backhand hand. It is the upgraded version. The electricity spreads through the blood and instantly fills the entire warehouse. The imp core immediately suffers heavy damage. At this moment, I suddenly shout, "Agricultural team, enter!" Physical attacks are now effective. The next second, agricultural teams from all directions launch fierce attacks on the imps. Do not underestimate these guys because of their appearance. Remember, they are all elite monsters from the final map. Looking at the one-sided situation before me, I wonder if I was too ruthless. Both cold-blooded and smart, maybe I was born to be a demon king. Next, these fish that escaped the net. It is my turn to personally take the stage, but the next second, what I never expected. The little demon actually pokes her head out from the potato pile, and she is being targeted by an imp. Seeing this, the little demon girl's father immediately panics. At this moment, although I think to myself that losing one imp does not matter, my body moves uncontrollably to attack that guy. But this distance exceeds the range of rending backhand. So in desperation, I grab a potato and throw it at this guy, although I also think this action is absurd. The next second, something happens that I completely did not expect. After the potato hits the imp, it actually absorbs him completely. Then looking carefully, well, I'll be damned, the sleeping potato actually sprouted. Only now do I realize, the aging imps are actually the key to activating the potato's biological clock. Then I pick up the little demon girl buried in the potatoes, and gently say, "You did very well, little cutie." But seeing my expression, this girl almost faints from fright. Then I stand on the potato pile and order the agricultural team, stop the plan to lure Asura, because next it is our turn to visit his home. At the same moment, the sun-baked Asura has been starved to the point of questioning life. This gives him a new understanding of life, realizing he still has a desire to live. Just then, the cute little demon girl comes to the scene, holding a basin of potatoes in her hands. Although the little demon girl's words are full of gratitude, Azurath's eyes only see those dry potatoes. Starved to the limit, he has almost turned into a zombie. Seeing this, the cute little demon girl casually picks up a potato from the basin. "You look very hungry, let me feed you." Then she closes her eyes and throws with force. Unexpectedly, the potato hits Azurath's left eye. This makes him instantly go mad, and the little demon girl says, "This time I can definitely hit the target. Let me try again." Then she throws 3 more potatoes. Fortunately, one successfully feeds Azurath's mouth, but the other 2 happen to hit both eyes. Even the violent Azurath closes his foul mouth the moment he eats the potato. Because some members of the Demon King's army feel happiness. Happiness points increase by 1. Current reserved points 302. This makes me a bit confused. It is not yet mealtime. Could it be that some guy secretly ate potatoes? But since you increase my points, I will spare you this once. Then I cast aside distractions and shout toward Undead Cliff with raised arms. "Agricultural team, attack!" At this time, seeing our attack, the soldiers on the other side of the bridge actually cut down the bridge. They think this can stop my advance. The next second, I directly make an original frog leap, but before reaching the destination, I suddenly fall. This scene makes these imps burst into laughter, but this laughter suddenly becomes strange, because they see my naked body stuck in the wall. Next, I crawl toward them like a ghost. The speed is simply beyond imagination. Moments later, I stand at the cave entrance in a victorious posture. Then I slowly turn my head, signaling them to proceed according to plan, while I head alone toward the undead lair. But seeing me without the cursed potatoes, Asura thinks he has won for sure. Then he sends ghouls to attack me. But the next second, my actions once again make their jaws drop. I see that the moment I am about to collide with the imps, I dodge in an instant and drill into the wall. Then it is naked, and equipped. Finally, I actually climb to the top of the wall. This scene directly confuses all the imps. They have never seen such a demonic movement method. And after crawling like this for a while, I lead all the monsters in the cave to one place. Seeing me panting, the imps think I cannot hold on anymore. So they swarm up, but I just confidently say, "I am not the Demon King now, I am a veteran player." At the same time, according to plan, the assistant officer shouts loudly, and the next second, the agricultural team members pick up potatoes and start throwing wildly. At this moment, my surroundings are full of sprouting potatoes. Seeing this scene, the assistant officer is still half doubtful about my original plan. But the fact is my strategy hits the mark precisely once again. At this moment, I think about how in the game, there was a tunnel below the cave entrance. Out of curiosity, I smashed the wall and discovered. Inside was actually a hidden treasure chest, which was a spirit medicine that could transform players, a fruit that condensed the 1,000-year obsession of ancient giants. Users can briefly change form, or this is the materialization of obsession. If I find it later, I must take it. At this time, the agricultural teams are extremely excited about the potato sprouting and crying tears of joy. This reminds me of my deceased grandmother. This makes me, usually abstract, also briefly lose focus. Then casting aside distractions, I say viciously, "Anyone who dares to interfere with my eating, I will twist their neck." At this time, Bahal steps forward, Demon King. Asura is very powerful. I also want to help you. However, hearing this, I command him, "Just transport potatoes," because fighting is something the boss should do. At this time, Asura still wants to use Ice Soul Heart to summon more undead, but before he can finish his curse, I deliver a deadly chain kick. The kicked and confused Asura still does not forget to ask how I found this place. I just sneer coldly, "Cut the nonsense. From this moment, it is time to eliminate pests." Despite this, he is quite surprised that I can find this place. But seeing no support behind me, he again shows arrogance and even claims to show me his true power. Little does he know I am all too familiar with his trump cards. teleports. During the game, to hunt down this teleporting guy, I searched the entire cave. During this period, I encountered countless imps and finally almost annihilated all those guys on the cliff. Then I followed this guy to the field where Ice Soul Heart is located. Ice Soul Heart can trap dead souls in reality with cold air. This guy tried to use that power to gather more subordinates. But before that, the game character would arrive and the final battle would begin. Among these, this guy's most skilled method is the visible transformation technique, as this guy's soul continues to twist. The next second, he directly transforms into my appearance and even thinks I am the previous Demon King, so he directly copies my attributes and materializes them. But what he never expected is that my current attributes are not even as good as a small soldier. At this time, Abisator fiercely attacks me. Seeing this, I directly use happiness points from inventory to boost agility attribute to 30%. Then I just slightly dodge to avoid his attack, and fiercely counterattack his abdomen with violent force. The unconvinced guy still wants to give me another punch, but he does not know I've already secretly boosted strength to 30%. I directly meet his fist. The result is predictable. The guy in pain jumps around uncontrollably and even doubts whether his skills malfunctioned. At this time, I just say contemptuously, "Old man, farming also requires brains." Abisator, who has never been so looked down upon, tries to make a final struggle. How could he know I continue to boost other attributes as well? Then I just use the most basic rending backhand and burn this wretch on the spot, even turning him directly into a puddle of mud. At this time, the system suddenly pops up that a growth mission is completed. All attributes increase by 1 level as a reward, unlocking new skill, Summon Farmer's Throne. Farmer King's Throne, it comes equipped with various sturdy farming tools. This reward comes at just the right time. I was just short of many tools. At this time, Abisator, who turned into a lump, suddenly starts twisting frantically, then transforms into the form of an ancient dragon. Little guy, do not get too cocky too early. The ancient evil dragon is my true form. Seeing this, I just say disdainfully, seeing it with my own eyes is quite shocking, and this attack power and health bar are really no joke. But before I finish speaking, our allies also happen to arrive at the scene. Then I ask Abisator with an evil smile, "What do you say now?" Seeing this, Abisator instantly changes from an arrogant attitude to a cowardly bear. "Well, how about we talk civilly?" But our agricultural team does not buy his act and directly shout, "You dare interfere with our farming, old man, you must die." Then they display the super high combat power of elite monsters and pin Abisator to the ground for a fierce beating. Seeing this scene, I think the old guy can still move and talk. Killing him personally feels weird. And now everyone should be hungry and have no strength. How come they have been beating him for so long without finishing him off? So for greater efficiency, I directly summon the new skill Farmer's Throne. A holy light suddenly shines from the sky. In the holy light, a throne full of farming tools slowly descends. The next second, it fiercely falls toward Abisator. In just an instant, it smashes him to ash. Seeing this, the agricultural teams excitedly shout, "Worthy of being the Demon King." Simply brutal to the extreme, showing no mercy even to the dying. Truly a good example for small fry like us. In their excitement, they also hope I can enjoy this with them. Really, why do these guys suddenly seem so cute? At the same time, far away in the demon territory, Picamil suddenly feels heat in the back of his head. Then, in complete confusion, he actually ascends on the spot. At this moment, the farmland has been tilled. The sprouting potatoes are also ready. Even the pests threatening farming have been eliminated. So next comes the moment to plant potatoes. Just as I plan to leave, the Ice Soul Heart behind me suddenly makes strange noises. At the same time, the system pops up a prompt, having killed Abisator 20 times in Undead Cliff. As a reward for this hidden event, the ancient dragon sealed in Ice Soul Heart is about to awaken. Then, out of curiosity, I slowly walk toward Ice Soul Heart. Unexpectedly, the next second it opens by itself. Then a cute dragon cub pokes its head out. This is a creature never seen during the game. In contrast, the first thing the little dragon sees after birth is recognizing me as his father. At this time, I hold the little guy and examine him carefully, excitedly thinking this little creature is extremely cute, but seeing my gentle smile, he cannot help but doubt whether he is biological. Seeing the little guy, the agricultural team all cheer, "Let's do it," while I angrily scold them, "You fools, at least fatten it up before eating it." Hearing this, the little guy immediately tears up, having finally escaped those as dark dragons, but he never expected his biological father would actually want to slaughter him. Moments later, when we return to the demon territory, the demons have already been waiting here for our triumphant return. These heartwarming scenes make the little cutie feel they are not so scary, but when he looks up at me, seeing my gentle expression, he immediately retracts his previous thought. After returning to Demon Castle, I wonder what to feed the little guy. It is said young dragons need to eat refined gems, but where can we find those premium mineral sources in this broken place? The little cutie looks at my expression. He has been huddled in the corner and he is trembling. Dad must be waiting for me to grow up. Fortunately, at this time, the assistant officer comes to report. Just as you predicted, we encountered difficulties in the piling process. This is within my expectations. To plant crops, soil must be piled up at the boundaries of rice fields or dry fields or between sorghum to form raised mounds. However, to achieve this, obviously soil alone is sufficient, but there are too many stones in this land, causing the agricultural team to clear them day and night, which is still far from enough. To the little cutie, this scene looks like enslaving slaves, making him lament his pitiful dragon life. In contrast, seeing this scene, I just think this is not farming but mining. If we mobilize all demons every day, the potatoes prepared for them will also be consumed quickly. Even if other city lords send support, it cannot completely change this situation. Just like this, while poking the little cutie, I worry about how great it would be if I could summon someone with magic like manga protagonists to clear these stones at once. I see the little demon girl behind me, obviously just a tiny kid. But she works so hard to help, this quickly calms me down. After all, complaining is useless. I need to think of a solution to solve this quickly. However, just at this time, someone suddenly shouts, "Blade wind is coming." I, who has been focused on farming, actually forgot about this. In this wasteland, this kind of blade wind generates randomly. If accidentally caught in it, you will be cut to pieces in an instant. So I immediately tell everyone to quickly hide in safe places, like behind stones. Damn it, even from this distance I can feel such wind pressure, and this kind of natural disaster is the greatest threat to farming. But just at this time, the little demon girl actually runs desperately in the opposite direction. Turns out this girl is trying to save the bound Asura. Seeing this, I quickly hand the dragon cub to the little demon girl's father, and command them, "Anyone who dares to follow, I will kill him." Bahal desperately shouts, trying to stop me, but I am already running desperately toward the little demon girl. Although I know the danger, I cannot let my people die like this. Moreover, farming is not some leisurely wellness activity. At this time, the little demon girl has already reached the scene and is struggling to pull out the stake. Seeing this, Asurath tells her to run quickly, but the little demon girl does not listen. Fortunately, I arrive in time and directly kick the stake to break it with a flying kick. Under the influence of gravity, Asurath falls face first straight to the ground. Although the aftermath of the blade wind has already caused the little demon girl's skin to crack, she still desperately tries to save Asurath. At this time, Asurath roars angrily, "Get lost, this is binding rope that even the 4 great demon generals cannot untie." At this time, I directly pick up the little demon girl around the waist, then carry Asurath on my shoulder. With all my strength, I run desperately toward the safe zone. Seeing this scene, the little cutie thinks that father is clearly not strong yet still desperately goes to save people. Although he looks scary, he is still a gentle existence. At the same time, I suffer severe injuries from being scraped by the blade wind. Even in the next second, I can only hold the little demon girl and collapse powerlessly. But just at this time, the little cutie directly breaks free from restraint and flies rapidly toward me and toward the swirling blade wind. He takes a deep breath, then shoots out fierce cold air. At this moment, I can feel the blade wind's power obviously weakening. Could it be that the cold air weakened the rising air current? But such a scale of cold air is definitely too much for a young dragon. However, while thinking about these things, my consciousness is already hazily fainted. If I could wake up at this moment, I would definitely be shocked by the current scene, because these generals actually disobeyed my orders and charged into the blade wind to bring us back to the safe zone. I am now unconscious in my room, but the Dark Knight actually brings 2 uninvited guests, Circe and Hartok. These 2 actually want to take the opportunity to kill me, but the moment they attack me, they suddenly stop, because they see I am actually sleeping with wide eyes and a fierce expression. At this moment, they are already somewhat timid, but thinking this might be the only chance to strike, they still steel themselves and make up their minds. But just at this time, a voice behind them interrupts. "What are you doing?" It turns out to be Asurath and Bahal. "Anyone who dares disturb the Demon King's rest, I will not show mercy." Hearing this, the 2 are immediately speechless. Looking at this fierce appearance, what kind of rest is this? Then Hartok curiously asks Asurath, "That single-minded Bahal is one thing, but why are even you standing beside this farming maniac?" Asurath responds that he is just returning a favor, and maybe next time he will stand with them. Hearing this, Hartok is immediately speechless. Now growing potatoes is causing endless trouble. If we fail, everyone will starve to death. At this time, Asurath thinks about, despite having only a glimmer of hope, the little demon girl who works hard farming, and says, "If you do not want to starve to death, you must risk your life to fight. If I have to risk my life anyway, I would rather choose to fight to the end. You fools will definitely regret this." After leaving these words, the 2 turn around and leave without looking back. It happens that at this time I wake up from unconsciousness, but I did not expect Asurath to be here too. He just says disdainfully that he is just returning a favor. But the next second, I deliver a soul-searching question, which lightning rod runs around everywhere. Hearing this, Asurath is immediately stunned. Then the entire castle emits mysterious firelight and screams. The scene shifts, and Bahal is seen carrying the unconscious Asurath to the farmland. At this time, I am anxious. We must quickly clear the stones from the soil. But what I never expected is that during my unconsciousness, the assistant officer led everyone to take care of everything for me. At this time, I ask how they cleared so many stones, and he tells me to look toward the field. I look in the direction he points. Well, I'll be damned. Turns out the little cutie actually ate all the stones. At this moment, the little cutie thinks that because he is too small, he could not stop the blade wind. Only by not being picky and eating voraciously can he grow up quickly. At this time, the little guy hears his father's call and sees it is me. He directly buries his head in my embrace. At this time, I think the blade wind will not come often, and it will take time for its scale to grow. Besides, this little guy can monitor from the air, and once blade wind is discovered, it can be dispersed through cold air. Now everything is ready. Only the potato planting remains. In farming, the first enemy is natural disasters, followed by financial pressure. These are all difficulties that must be overcome. At the same time, elsewhere in Demon Castle, Circe sits at her dressing table slowly removing her helmet. If I were present, I would definitely be surprised that during the game, this girl's true appearance could not be seen. Who would have thought she is actually a hidden beauty? However, at this moment, she is extremely annoyed, her whole body emitting a foul atmosphere. Although she has been hiding in her room for several days without working, she still cannot dispel this manure smell. At this time, my voice comes from outside the door. Hearing this, she is initially curious why I would come here, but then immediately says she has nothing good to discuss with me. However, I persist. Only by meeting face to face can we communicate properly. But when she angrily plans to refuse me, she suddenly sees me stuck in the door in a bizarre form, and this action immediately makes her extremely ashamed. You are insane. How can you trespass into a lady's room? How could she know that the next second I actually kneel on one knee? Seeing this, Circe is somewhat confused. However, my next words immediately make her blush. Circe, without you I can do nothing. Little does she know my actions are just to save labor costs, because I currently need her sharp and precise blade. In contrast, being told this by me, the entire room immediately fills with a wonderful pink atmosphere. The scene shifts, and I bring Circe to the warehouse storing sprouted potatoes, and say, planting potatoes requires cutting them in half first, so please help me cut potatoes. But this sentence makes Circe instantly furious. You bastard demon king, you dare to fool me. But I do not care and pick up a potato to tell her. The work process is actually very simple. Do not cut those with 3 or fewer sprouts. Cut those with 4 or more, paying attention to even distribution of sprouts on left and right. Then, while she is still in a daze, I directly pick up the potato. Seeing this scene, Circe angrily says she never agreed to help, but I directly throw the potato into the air. But Circe, who says she will not help, instantly transforms into a battle maniac and directly cuts the potato clean. Seeing this exquisite knife work, I cannot help but show a surprised expression. This technique, this strength, simply too perfect. Indeed, I cannot do anything without you. This makes the little girl blush again. But then she angrily says, you think saying a few nice words can coax me, you big liar, scoundrel, smooth talker. But the next second, I quickly transform into a demon. Then I grab her small hand and take out a cloth to wipe the sword clean. Seeing this scene, the little beauty is again at a loss. At this time, I say somewhat affectionately, the potato got muddy. Of course it needs to be wiped clean. In contrast, Circe's heart is beating wildly, crazy. What is this charming look in his eyes? So sincere, deep, and subtle. Why does my heart suddenly become so chaotic? In contrast, I just think that shiny clean feels comfortable. If not wiped clean, it will bring infectious diseases to the potatoes. Then I ask Circe, can I ask you one more favor? I really need you. Looking at my deep and sincere eyes, her heart that had already melted long ago now has no trace of previous arrogance. Then I will help you this once. After all, this stupid great demon king can do nothing without me. Hearing this, I excitedly say, that's fantastic, I'll get water and gauze. Tonight we'll work through the night cutting potatoes. Little does she know that at this moment, Hartok is watching this scene. He sees Circe shyly cutting potatoes while I sing and wipe the blade. At this time, Hartok just thinks Circe is also a self-degrading fool who voluntarily becomes a slave because of a few compliments. The scene shifts to Asurath being sun-baked on the stake. He is pondering what life is, what a lightning rod is, and even angry at his powerful recovery ability. But just at this time, the little demon girl appears in his vision with a basin of potatoes. Steak uncle, let's play the potato throwing game. Hearing this, Asurath says he will not play games with inferior demons, but his mouth honestly opens. Hartok, seeing all this on the side, just thinks this bastard is completely hopeless, so stupid as to be played around, now completely a waste. Just at this time, I bring the cut potatoes for everyone to start sowing. Learning that Circe helped cut the potatoes, the agricultural team members all express gratitude to her. At this moment, seeing Circe too shy to know what to do, Hartok secretly complains that a dignified one of the 4 great demon generals is in such a state, just growing potatoes, and these guys can be moved to tears. As powerful demons, do they not feel ashamed? So Hartok again secretly decides he must usurp this demon king position. At this time, I tell everyone, when the potatoes sprout and break ground, at that time we need to pick sprouts. Leave 3 to 5 sprouts for each potato. Then I ask, are more sprouts better or fewer better? The agricultural team members each express their opinions. I directly respond, the fewer sprouts, the better. However, hearing this, everyone is somewhat confused. In their understanding, is not more always better for everything? But Hartok, who has been listening clearly from behind, can no longer bear it. You fools, if there are too many sprouts, they will compete for root nutrition, causing potato growth to be hindered. This surprises me somewhat. Do you know farming knowledge? But he disdainfully says, this kind of common sense still needs to be learned. New sprouts and potato root systems are originally connected. Sharing nutrients is natural, is it not? Hearing this, I continue asking, then how many sprouts should we keep? Of course 2, do you even need to ask? If you're just trying to save nutrients and prune, it's easy to miscalculate, and if you leave just 1, run and accidentally break the main stem, you could kill the whole potato plant. I didn't realize this guy knew so much, so I asked again, what do you think we should do next besides picking buds? To this question, he also did not pause. This is artificially improved perfect soil. This fertile soil will also grow weeds, so in addition to picking the buds, but also regular weeding. It made everyone, including me, freeze in their tracks. The next second, I led the crowd straight into applause. Hooray for the agricultural genius Hartalk. Amidst the continuous cheers of genius acclaim, Hartalk suddenly remembers his mother who always called him foolish. The stark contrast of the current scene brings tears streaming down his face. At this moment, I slowly approach and firmly announce, Hartalk will serve as chief instructor of the agricultural team, but right now, he only thinks about usurping the throne. Yet the next second, I suddenly shout loudly, what are you all standing around for? Pay tribute to the most outstanding elite of the demon race. This causes Hartalk to instantly surrender, expressing his intent to follow me closely from now on. Upon hearing this, everyone cheers once again. Meanwhile, I suddenly receive a system notification. You have won 4 psychological battles. You have gained insight into Bahal's trauma psychology from lacking protection in childhood, successfully taming him into a loyal subordinate. You have established social relationships for the lonely Asura, significantly reducing his violent tendencies. You have also melted the frozen heart of Circe, who has never been loved. You have satisfied Hartalk's vain desire for recognition. Now consuming 200 points can unlock the new skill Blood Eye, which allows observation of confirmed events within the next 6 hours for any target individual. I am bewildered, as this skill does not exist in the game at all. But the next second, the system's prompt makes me widen my eyes in shock. This target even includes the sky. Damn it, this is basically a weather forecast system. The scene shifts. Pink Loveheart, with maxed out combat power, walks through the forest with a confused expression after losing his guide's direction. Who would have thought that in this wild mountain forest, someone would be calling for help? Through the voice, he discovers they are 2 humans. It turns out these 2 are reconnaissance soldiers investigating the demon race. Yet such beings were actually ambushed by goblins, nearly losing their lives. Perhaps this flashy appearance is too distinctive. Despite his good intentions to help, he merely extends his hand in a friendly manner, but this frightens them considerably. Fortunately, Pink Loveheart harbors no malice, and the misunderstanding is quickly resolved. Time passes for several weeks. In the exiles village between demon territory and human lands, the 2 finally recover from their injuries. After several days of communication, Pink Loveheart learns that they are actually of noble birth, specifically sent by the king, though one is a young master, while the other is a follower. Yet when Master Albiha invites him to journey together to the human kingdom, Pink Loveheart hesitates. As mentioned before, he cannot even remember who he is. Moreover, when he first arrived at this village, the villagers' gazes toward him were not friendly. Therefore, he unconsciously becomes dejected, wondering if someone like him could truly be accepted by humans. Little does he know that as soon as his words end, these 2 display adorably naive expressions. Why don't you try changing your outfit? Moments later, as they formally leave the grass hut, Pink Loveheart merely wears a cloak. In the young master's view, he particularly treasures this flashy outfit. Little does he know that Pink Loveheart has long wanted to remove these clothes, only they seem to have fused with his body, and he cannot take them off no matter how hard he tries. Looking at these 2 kind and courteous individuals, he once again wonders what kind of existence he truly is, because in his vague memories, there is only endless slaughter. The scene shifts. The demons of the agricultural team stare in disbelief at what lies before them. In this barren soil, they have actually cultivated potatoes. This scene also leaves Bahal and Circe speechless with amazement. In such a joyous moment, Asaroth naturally cannot be absent. At this time, I loudly gather everyone. Agricultural team, listen to orders. Execute the next phase immediately. Earthing up. Then I direct my gaze toward Hartalk. Our genius chief instructor, what is earthing up? Once again receiving attention, Hartalk immediately bursts forth with an ocean of knowledge. Earthing up refers to an agricultural technique of lightly covering seedling stems with soil. This prevents mature potatoes from being exposed to sunlight. If exposed to direct sunlight, potatoes will change color, taste worse, and may even produce toxins. This can be understood as a kind of potato corruption phenomenon. The moment his words end, I again lead the applause. Then I directly widen my eyes, staring straight at the sky. This is my new skill unlocked after consuming 200 points. Blood Eye. Only this damn thing. The activation condition for this skill is continuously staring at the target for 200 seconds without blinking. This is incredibly difficult, but in everyone's view, this appears as me being so excited that tears well up in my eyes. Through this abstract design, I finally learn. The forecast for the next 6 hours predicts clear and dry weather. It is recommended to use a humidifier. Very good. It seems there will be no fierce winds. Little cutie, eat more stones. You can rest well today. But at this moment, the assistant officer suddenly reports with a serious expression that there is urgent intelligence. The messenger is unmistakably a subordinate of Second Lord Plumes. After they receive orders to halt the expedition, Third Lord Rast launches a full-scale attack against them. The rallying cry of rebellion is the same as the 4 demon generals. Since the Demon King has grown weak, I shall become the Demon King myself. As the assistant officer states, if Rast forces Plumes to submit and form an alliance, our side will likely be unable to resist. This aligns with my thoughts. So, before the Second Lord completely submits, we must swiftly attack and defeat the Third Lord. But I cannot abandon the field work for too long. The Second Second Lord's territory under attack is located in the abyssal decay swamp beneath King's Cliff. Comparing the game setting with reality, the map size is approximately 10 times larger than reality, making the distance extremely far. The abandoned well in the game, responsible for leveling and teleportation, can be used for rapid round trips. While considering how to solve this problem, I suddenly have a flash of inspiration. Damn it, I am the ultimate boss here. How could I personally lead an expedition? So the ones leading the expedition are Circe and Bahal. I first dispatched these two loyal 4-demon generals, along with other demons whose low intelligence makes them unsuitable for farming. While Hartok and I focus entirely on potato cultivation here. The scene shifts. The second territory is now littered with corpses. Plume still cannot believe that Rast dares to defy the Demon King's orders, even daring to stage a rebellion. But in Rast's view, halting the expedition is what will lead to the demon race's destruction. Although Plume's desperately explains that the Demon King can make the land fertile, and filling stomachs does not require war with humans. Upon hearing this, Rast still raises his cold blade, because filling stomachs is not the goal. Heroic battle is the history and pride that the demon race has always maintained. But at this critical moment, a swift axe directly strikes the blade away. The newcomer is unmistakably one of the 4 demon generals. He seems to have heard Rast's statement. In his view, this guy is not entirely wrong. The demon race is indeed warlike and enjoys slaughter. But from some point onward, why did we become that way? Perhaps we can also understand this reason. Compared to killing someone, saving someone makes him feel more proud. The scene shifts to the happy and blissful little demon girl. This is the first feast welcomed through the efforts of all demons. The sprouted potatoes have begun to bloom, yet facing the innocent expression, I say words that drop their jaws. From this moment on, pluck all these useless flowers for me. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately shows sad emotions, while Asurath behind me curses that I am a heartless and cruel demon king, because these flowers are the only spiritual support that has sustained him until now. Seeing such a scene without any mercy, truly worthy of being the demon king. Although Hartok says this with his mouth, he still commands everyone to act immediately. These simple-hearted demons, looking at these pitiful petals, simply cannot bring themselves to act. These are flowers we planted with our own hands, and the first time such beautiful flowers have bloomed on this land. Fortunately, the planting genius explains the reason. If this continues, all the nutrients accumulated through photosynthesis will be consumed entirely by the flowers and seed formation, so they can only endure their sadness and send all these lovely petals to their demise. But their pained voices sound to me like the beautiful melody of potato growth. The scene shifts. Circe and Bahal capture Rast and bring him to the demon castle. Seeing his wretched state, I mock him. Knowing such results would occur, why did you stage a rebellion? You could not even defeat a 1-star city lord, so what could you possibly accomplish? However, upon hearing this, Rast shows no fear whatsoever. You might as well kill me. A demon race stripped of battle glory is no different from being dead. This guy still dares to talk back at this point, so I directly cast Rending Backhand, giving him a round of skin-burning treatment first. But this thick-skinned fellow actually withstands my damage, even having the leisure to mock that I am merely tickling him. Only then do I remember that in the game, this guy is a character focused on defensive power. If that is the case, then I can promote him to our 3rd-generation lightning rod. This can only be blamed on his formidable defensive capabilities. Next, I demand that the demons untie the original lightning rod, because this little guy's recovery has been declining severely lately, and he should retire and rest. But Asurath, who was just rescued, sees the little demon girl running toward him excitedly. The previous second he was still barely breathing. The next second he reveals his demonic nature. You inferior demon, you have been toying with me quite enough during this time. Before dealing with Kratos, I will start with you. As his words end, he transforms into a vengeful demon. But before he can truly exert his power, he stumbles backward and falls flat on his face. Damn it, he has been hanging for too long and forgot the feeling of stepping on ground. At this moment, Bahal slowly approaches. Then, while he is still confused, directly gives him a princess carry, subsequently securing him firmly to his back. This is the Demon King's command, requiring this posture to be maintained for a period of time. Upon hearing this, Asurath feels once again subjected to tremendous humiliation. Then I breathed a sigh of relief. Although I was concerned this little guy might go insane. Through Blood Eye, I learned that this fellow cannot move for the next 6 hours, which is why I decided to help him untie. Next, I again command everyone to accelerate, using Circe's sharp blade work to instantly clear the flowers. Then using Hartok's awakened special technique to provide the potatoes with sufficient moisture. There is not much time left until harvest, and the grain distributed as wages is also running low. Even demons who have adapted to hunger and eat very little can be seen to be quite exhausted. But at this moment, a strange voice comes from behind. The newcomer is unmistakably Second Lord Plumes, who has come specifically to express gratitude. But seeing his empty hands, I immediately feel an inexplicable anger. This guy comes to give thanks yet arrives empty-handed. Usually would he not bring a case of beverages or ginseng or something similar, but he is terrified by my murderous aura, immediately expressing that he will quickly dispatch subordinates to help with farming. Hearing this, I also slightly soften my expression. Indeed, these guys probably have nothing to eat either. I cannot constrain them according to Earth's culture. Currently, all we can hope for is that the potatoes grow safely to resolve this famine. I truly want to see these guys with full stomachs. Speaking of this, I suddenly question my original motivation for farming. At this time, Plumes interrupts my thoughts. Then, Demon King, I shall quickly reorganize the army. I somewhat lament this guy's humility. In the game, he constantly emphasizes that strength is truth and shows great loyalty to the Demon King, but his actual power is the weakest. This guy inherently belongs to the plant category, so perhaps he could have remarkable effects on farming. But who would have thought that Plumes, who appears so loyal, now harbors rebellious seeds in his heart because this soil is too fertile. This is such abundant nutrition never felt in the decaying swamp. Since he was still a seedling, his soil has never contained any nutrients whatsoever. But if it is this land cultivated by Demon King Kratos, he absolutely has confidence in strengthening his power, even possibly usurping his position to become this Demon King. Under the scorching morning sun, I am leading a group of lovely demons in radio calisthenics. Beep 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 beep. These guys were a complete mess initially, but unexpectedly, in just a few short days, they can already accurately follow my commands. It's truly the physique of the demon race. Even under sudden signals, they can accurately follow instructions. Left roll, right roll. Having basic stamina is essential for the hard work of farming, and now, even if I do not instruct them, they will perform well. At this time, Bahal shouts that something is terribly wrong. It turns out all the potato leaves have turned completely yellow. Upon hearing this, my heart immediately tightens. At the same time, the remaining 4 demon generals stare blankly at what lies before them. The assistant officer states that they have indeed been too strained. Circe beside him also shows disappointment. Even Instructor Hartok does not know why this is happening. Could it be due to insufficient moisture? Then he begins to mock himself as a fool for having expectations about farming for the first time. Just as their emotions plummet to the depths, I finally arrive belatedly. Then, under their focused gazes, I slowly crouch down to examine the leaves. But when I pull up a yellowed leaf, the bottom is actually covered with large soil clumps. This scene immediately surprises everyone. Although the potato color is somewhat lighter compared to the first planting, the size has increased by fully twice. After roughly understanding the potato condition, I give a positive response. It should be said that the potato seeds have begun to awaken. They are absorbing nutrients from the leaves and growing robustly, all for the sake of becoming larger and more delicious. Everyone has worked hard, because this is your achievement. The moment my words end, each displays different emotions. Even Asura feels immense comfort. The scene shifts. Inside the demon castle, I lie leisurely on the bed. At this time, I suddenly recall words I said to them before. This is your achievement. These same words I have heard before. Those were the words my grandmother used to praise me when I first successfully grew tomatoes. Only I never got to let grandmother taste my harvest. She left me. Memories are brief. I quickly return my thoughts and begin studying the next plan. According to the current situation, we can use the cultivated potatoes to help them survive the famine, but we cannot be careless. If we focus only on potatoes, we might die of starvation instantly due to potato blight, just like the Irish Great Famine. Currently, I must quickly find more seeds. However, at this moment, the earth suddenly shakes violently. I thought it was the epic level designer architect cutting corners, but unexpectedly, the roof suddenly cracks open. Then countless tentacles extend from underground. What the hell? This is a scene never seen in the game. At the same time, the little demon girl working diligently suddenly feels the potato leaves rapidly withering. According to the Demon King's instructions, this should be the potatoes absorbing their nutrients. Only the withering speed is too rapid. Even the root systems disappear into the soil in the blink of an eye. Then, when she curiously pulls out a potato, she discovers that the grown potato has vanished without a trace. How can this situation not make her panic? So with a tearful voice, she turns around, planning to quickly tell the Demon King. But the next second, she freezes in place. The majestic demon palace is actually tightly entangled by tree roots, and the Demon King is also held high by tree branches, just like an insect. Our great Demon King Kratos. Only now do I realize it is Second Lord Plumes, and this bastard actually absorbed the nutrients of the entire land to gain his current strength. But this statement strikes directly at my reverse scale. Damn bastard. To actually tamper with food, but my anger instead arouses his interest. Are you very angry now? But what can you do now? As his words end, he directly smashes me toward the ground. At this time, the 4 demon generals are desperately fleeing the demon castle. However, Bahal insists on going to rescue the Demon King. But in the others' view, if even they can escape, then the Demon King will surely be fine. But Bahal says something shocking. You are all wrong. The Demon King is actually very weak. When rescuing him on the cliff, I discovered he is very weak. At this time, I am just as Bahal described, being beaten mercilessly by Plumes, without any resistance whatsoever. The sturdy Bahal wants desperately to save the situation. However, at this time, the demon generals see the culprit of this journey. The assistant officer quickly recognizes him. He is the second Lord Plumes. Like a divine being descending, these demon generals appear incredibly small before him. Demons, listen, your Lord Demon King Kratos is dead. According to ancient demon law, power stems from strength. So from this moment on, I am your new Demon King. Before absolute power, all of you kneel before me. As his words end, a powerful pressure sweeps across the entire domain. The sturdy Hartok quickly assesses the situation. Plumes has absorbed all the nutrients from this soil. Since Kratos has fallen, then currently the strongest is Plumes before them. Although filled with reluctance, according to ancient rules, the demon race follows strength and power in merely a moment. Except for Assistant Officer Japiros, the remaining 4 demon generals all bow to the new Demon King and express tribute to the new Demon King of this land. Seeing the assistant officer beside them still unable to accept accept this. Asurath hurriedly reminds him to be polite to the new Demon King. Indeed so. This is the ancient rule of the demon race. Although very unwilling, they can only submit to powerful strength. Meanwhile, I am having a strange dream. Also my most unwilling memory to recall. Mother takes me to play in the amusement park. Mother tells me to count to 10 and she will appear. Mother says she is nearby. But when I finish counting, she has disappeared without a trace. So I start over from the beginning, counting repeatedly until evening. But Mother's figure never appears again. This is the most painful memory in the depths of my heart. At this time, I hear the system's call. Jin Changjae, cheer up. What is the situation? The system is actually calling my name. Move, move, and you can survive. Although I can clearly sense the system's urgency. This body seems to have lost control, without even the space to turn over. Fortunately, this hand shows some response. So I, grasping at this lifeline, through subtle perception, through the only consciousness available, continuously remind myself never to give up. Looking back at this time, Plumes, having subdued all the demon generals, begins executing the new Demon King's first mission. Remember this great first step. From this moment on, the demon race will invade human territory, rule and domesticate humans as our food. Actually, this should be the original intention that the four heavenly kings yearned for, to be able to fight heartily, to be able to fill hungry stomachs. This is also the instinct the demon race should possess, but when they truly hear this command, they cannot feel happy. Instead, their hearts fill with anger. However, Plumes disregards their thoughts, even commanding the demons to immediately take up weapons and march. But at this moment, Assistant Officer steps forward. Demon King, marching now presents some difficulties. Upon hearing this, not only Plumes, even the four demon generals feel surprised. According to the current demon provisions, there are only a few potatoes. As military rations for war, this is far from sufficient. However, what seems like reasonable logic, Plumes considers this blatant insubordination. So when everyone is completely unprepared, he abruptly thrusts out a tree branch, instantly grabbing the young demon girl. Seeing this, her father wants desperately to rescue her. Even Azurath beside him feels angry. However, Plumes disregards everyone's emotions. You foolish fellow, military rations are already sufficient. Are there not as many of these weak and useless demons as we need for food? But upon hearing this, the little demon girl becomes indignant. No, we do not need to do that now. Even without mutual slaughter, we can survive. Our Demon King Kratos promised he would achieve this. However, the moment her words end, Plume's pupils widen instantly. The next second, the originally entangling tree branches release without warning, and the little demon girl falls from the tremendous height. At the same time, buried deep underground, I can clearly feel my heart slowly stopping. But if I die like this, a group of lovely fellows will surely go hungry, and I cannot stand to see hungry demons most of all. With my heart-wrenching roar, the originally dead body begins to regain vitality, and I also regain control of my body, if that is the case. Plumes, you just wait for me. Looking back at the surface, as if hearing my roar. Asurath, first among the four demon generals, steps forward to express his rebellious attitude, because the lovely little demon girl is the strongest bond of this first-generation lightning rod. However, at this critical moment, I am still struggling desperately underground, although I can regain control of this body. What I feel is only exhaustion throughout my body, the pitch-black soil, groping without direction. At the same time, cowardly emotions begin to negate my judgment, whether the climbing direction is correct, whether what I am persisting in still has meaning. Under the influence of various negative emotions, I also begin to gradually lose fighting spirit. Not long ago, Asurath's fearless action immediately shocks the remaining four demon generals. Not only the little demon girl in his arms, even the arrogant Plumes finds it hard to believe. Asurath, what are you doing? Upon hearing this, he merely maintains his position blankly, then suddenly widens his eyes as if regaining consciousness. Seeing Plumes about to explode with rage, he hurriedly explains incoherently, "No, Demon King, she is merely my food. From before I had reserved this girl, thinking to consume her while fresh." However, before his words finish, he is met with Plumes' furious tree branches. In just one encounter, he is directly sent flying, bouncing several times on the ground, even losing consciousness. Seeing no more resistance, Plumes again commands preparation to attack humans. But what he never expected is that Assistant Officer steps forward once more. We have no legitimate reason for war, but behind such courage awaits the same fate as Asurath. At this critical moment, a massive axe intercepts the attacking tree branch. The newcomer is unmistakably Bahal. Then he says even more shocking words. The Demon King assigned Assistant Officer a task. If he dies, no one will be able to count potatoes. That under his pressure, this guy still dares to resist. But it is not only Bahal who steps forward. This is not a decision to betray you. That is simply ridiculous. We simply believe that compared to attacking humans, the farming attempted by the previous Demon King is more reasonable. At the same time as these words end, Cersei also voices her doubt. I have one question. The previous Demon King pointed out a path where no one would die. Why, when there is clearly a better method, would we still wage war? The successive resistance completely enrages Plumes. You bunch of trash. Because I have power, I am power. But his furious pressure fails to intimidate the demons present. You are wrong. So-called authority is only established under reasonable conditions. Only Kratos is our demon king. You bastard, return our potato field. However, the next second, seeing these ants have lost control, he directly thrusts countless tree branches at them. Fortunately, Hartok intervenes in time, saving the demons from disaster. On the other side, Bahal supports with both hands. Circe then throws him high into the air. At that moment, Circe instantly cuts through several tree branches. The rising height also happens to reach the opponent's eyes. Then I will first gouge out your eyes, accompanied by fury as she charges toward Plumes. But her figure has not yet approached when she is struck down by the opponent. At the same time, Bahal and Hartok also suffer fatal wounds. You ants dare to resist this demon king. If that is the case, then all of you die. Through death you will understand. I will make you know that compared to that useless Kratos, I am the truly great demon king. Before me, you still dare to call that trash demon king. A weak fellow who cannot even resist and dies, how is he stronger than me? Accompanied by his fury, numerous demon generals suffer one by one. And Japiros, who barely held on until now, is also about to face complete disaster. But at this moment, a familiar voice echoes throughout the entire domain. Little traitor, how can your self-esteem be so low? At the same time, a blood-red fist forcibly withstands Plumes' massive tree branch. The next second, the tree branch actually explodes from within. This scene shocks not only Plumes, even the assistant officer beside him is amazed. Because I, who crawled out from the gates of hell, have comprehended a new skill, attribute concentration. Not long ago, I was still in the abyss, about to lose my will. Childhood memories even surfaced in my mind. At that time, I was equally tormented, even began to doubt why humans must live if life is so painful. At this time, grandmother suddenly speaks, her voice filled with determination and hope. Do you know? Humans are like seeds. No matter how harsh the environment, they must strive with all their might to break through the soil, becoming a tender shoot full of life. When the first tender shoot bravely appears before us, other seeds will also be encouraged, and sprouts will begin to emerge everywhere. Someday this land will be covered in green. However, as soon as her words end, I become furious, no longer able to suppress my inner indignation. Do not say such mushy words. Father was clearly so good, yet only knew how to bury himself in work, ultimately dying without warning. Why did my mother abandon me? Am I just a rotten seed? Do not say such unreasonable words. I will also live only for myself like mother. I want to succeed, then only care about myself. But this was the last conversation with grandmother. Even before leaving, grandmother continuously repeated, to give my life meaning, we are seeds of hope. Thinking of this, infinite survival desire surges in my heart. The body occupied by cowardice regains vitality. At the same time, the system's voice suddenly sounds. Jin Changzhe, you have experienced the pain of death and rebirth. That will to transcend limits and spirit has opened a new system for you, unlocking the Mana Seed system. This is something I never heard during my gaming period, but the system's prompts continue. As a generous reward for successfully being reborn 3 times, the Mana Seed system will activate starting from level 3. It will amplify all your ability values by a certain proportion, but relying solely on the improved 30% attributes is still far from enough to escape from here. Fortunately, the system provides the final compensation, the Mana Seed system's active skill, attribute concentration. You can concentrate all your ability values into one attribute, usable once per day, lasting 10 minutes. Upon hearing this, I immediately widen my eyes, then impatiently deploy the new skill, concentrating all attributes into strength, making its value reach 155%. With this power, I easily climb out from underground. Obviously, my sudden appearance here also shocks Plumes. Kratos, you actually managed to survive from there. Regarding his question, I display a disdainful expression. You fool, are you blind? The agricultural team members beside me all cheer joyfully the moment they see me. My lovely little dragon also runs into my arms with tears streaming. Naturally, the severely wounded 4 demon generals are among them. Only in their view, my being able to return alive is fortunate, but the current Plumes is too powerful. Even the demon king may not be able to defeat him. This is even better, Kratos. Now I will kill you and your subordinates. However, upon hearing this, I display a proud smile, because he cannot kill a single demon. No matter how this guy attacks with overwhelming size, he only acts according to the game's patterns. As long as I think of him as an enlarged game character, then can easily dodge his attacks. There is also the agricultural team, which has achieved perfect coordination through intense training. Then I shout loudly, agricultural team, listen to orders. Everyone quickly gather behind me. We are about to begin calisthenics, since I know Plume's attack patterns from the game. Left jump, right jump, get down, left roll, continue rolling, push-ups, jump. I can lead the demons to avoid attacks. As expected, after several attacks fail to hit, Plumes' emotions begin to grow irritable. We only need to wait quietly, because his subsequent irritability will provide us with opportunities. As attacks arrive, I command the demons to make sharp turns, finally giving the opponent a disdainful gesture. This scene completely enrages Plumes, even entering a berserk state. But this is exactly the opportunity I have been waiting for. As long as I utilize game rules at this moment, I can completely defeat this scoundrel. The next second, I directly deploy the little milk dragon. the tiny figure swiftly ascends, then sprays extremely strong ice. Because no matter how developed my muscles are, attacking such a massive form with fists alone would be futile. But that guy is ultimately just a plant. If extremely low temperatures freeze his body, its volume will expand and tissues will rupture. In other words, the fellow who once appeared mighty with his massive size will be unable to endure, ultimately self-destructing. Even his massive body begins to gradually freeze. The sturdy little dragon excitedly returns along the original path, but he is already exhausted and gasping for breath. The task of delivering the fatal blow to the enemy naturally falls to me, the Demon King. The next second, I fiercely burrow underground, shouting my ancestors' names as I charge toward plumes, because I know. Another fatal weakness of large trees is this guy's navel, when my fist strikes, starting from the nostril-like cavity, instantly shattering his formidable defense. Seeing this, everyone finds it hard to believe. They never expected the Demon King to actually achieve victory. However, at the same time, I fall powerlessly from the sky as the attribute concentration time limit expires. In contrast, Plumes' body continues to crack and shatter. Eventually, even his intelligent eyes can only close helplessly. Even at the end, only his body remains. Yet seeing this scene, I cannot feel joy. According to the game's memory, if this enemy was defeated, his body would dissolve into light particles and completely disappear. Sure enough, as if confirming my ominous premonition, new saplings begin to grow again from the previously barren soil, then transforms into another humanoid form. Damn it, at this moment I have absolutely no strength left. In contrast, this enemy now stands before me in a different form. It turns out this enemy uses the fertile soil to concentrate all his power in one place before dying, thus reshaping his physical body. He also declares that he's a seed that fell into a poisonous swamp, growing as a cursed sprout. Therefore, after gaining the Demon King's power, covering the entire world with poison is his mission. After saying this, he mercilessly swings his transformed great sword. However, just as I think I will perish here, Bahal suddenly appears and desperately swings his axe. Though his full force strike hits the opponent's neck, it only leaves a faint wound. In contrast, what awaits him is a resounding slap, yet the battle does not end. The next to appear is Cersei, then comes Hartok, finally Asura. Under their concentrated attack, Asura actually manages to sever the opponent's neck. Light particles begin to emerge from the neck wound, then spread throughout the entire body. Finally, not only the reshaped flesh, but even the original massive body transforms into countless light particles. The next second, these countless light particles illuminate the entire night sky. Fortunately, my beloved demons and the 4 demon generals, though all severely injured, suffer no casualties. Just as grandmother's final advice stated, we are seeds that other seeds can observe and draw power from. With Hartok's loud cheer, a group of beloved demons and demon generals also begin to celebrate joyfully, even shouting long live credos. However, having recovered some strength, I cannot bring myself to cheer, because the cost of this victory is too devastating. I look around with painful eyes. The fertile soil, the abundant potatoes, have all been reduced to nothing. If we must start from scratch to replant potatoes, these dear companions will be trembling with hunger again. Moreover, with everything in such chaos, how can I command them to work the fields? No, I cannot be so cruel as to make them work like that. Little do I know that while I hang my head in despair, the energy bodies that became light particles begin to slowly drift down, and when one of them touches a potato leaf, a miraculous reaction occurs. The sight before him brings back memories of Epirus's childhood, locked away in a prison cell. Back then, he was nothing more than a frail demon, waiting to be devoured. Then, a demon with a ghastly blue face and jagged fangs appears outside the cell. The moment he steps inside, every demon scrambles in a panic. Every demon except Epiros. He simply curls into a ball and sits there in silence. The blue-faced demon is immediately intrigued. He snatches Epiros up by the collar, hoisting him high into the air, then swings his blade, intending to cleave him apart and swallow him whole. But just as the edge is about to make contact, Kratos, the Demon King, not yet possessed by me, suddenly appears. He seizes the blue-faced demon by the skull. With one sharp wrench, the head is torn clean off, then casually tossed aside. He then turns to young Epiros and says, "Why weren't you scared? Why didn't you beg for your life?" Epiros answers, "Because I wasn't afraid. If anything, I felt relieved. No matter how much I struggle, I can't survive anyway. The best I figured I could do was shorten the agony of waiting to die." The Demon King gives a faint smile. "You're different from the rest. Come with me. I'm appointing you as my new assistant officer. It would be a waste to let someone like you get eaten. We'll still be feeding on demons for a while yet, but one day I, Kratos, will put an end to this tragedy of kin consuming kin." At this, Epiros gazes toward the Demon King, the one who once pulled him from the depths of despair. He forces down the surge of emotion welling up inside him, then quietly picks up a hoe and begins to till the earth. Seeing this, Hartok shouts to the farming crew, "What are you standing around for? Get that ground leveled and start mounding those rows." The demons throw themselves into the work with fierce determination. They plow the fields with gusto, singing rustic folk songs as they go. The harmony of it all stirs something deep in me, a rush of fire and passion. I immediately start issuing orders. "Group 1, check if there are any potatoes left. Groups 2 and 3, grab your hose and line up. Circe, go cut the remaining seed potatoes. Japiros, follow Circe and wipe down her blade. Hartok, command Group 1. Azarath, go round up those tools I mentioned. With the orders given, I shout at the top of my lungs, pray for. The farming crew shouts back in unison, harvest! Bahal, meanwhile, clamps a rope in his teeth, dragging a dozen demons behind him. They use his pulling force to plow the earth, making the whole operation far more efficient. I couldn't be more pleased. I think to myself, farming has always been like this. You weather every kind of disaster, you stumble and fall, but you get back up every time. Just then, the little demon girl notices something nearby, a single intact potato seedling. She runs over to it excitedly, thinking even just one surviving seed potato would be something. With that thought, she reaches down to pull it out, but the plant holds firm, deeply rooted, refusing to budge. That's when Asurath comes over to help. Together, they yank with everything they've got, and the plant tears free, roots and all. The next second, they both freeze in disbelief, because beneath that one small seedling are over a dozen massive, plump potatoes. The biggest one is even larger than Rast's entire head. The little demon girl rushes over to me, cradling the giant potato, and tells me the whole story. The moment I hear it, I think back to a cutscene in the game that plays after defeating Plumes. Wherever that guy falls, a few small sprouts push up from the ground, which means the earth absorbed his nutrients. And right now, his body is thousands of times larger than it was back then. The thought hits me like a bolt of lightning, and I immediately shout, farming crew, drop what you're doing and dig! After some digging, the demons begin unearthing potatoes of extraordinary size. They hug the fruit of their labor to their chests and cheer. Seeing this, Japiros asks, my lord, is this a harvest? I answer with forced composure at first, yes, it is, then burst into tears of joy. It's a bumper harvest. With the farm work wrapped up, I return to the crumbling Demon King's castle and begin reviewing the current state. First, District 1, after the First Lord Abbasator launched his rebellion and was crushed, the Ice Soul Heart stopped functioning and every last one of his foot soldiers vanished. The place is now completely empty. Next, District 2, the Second Lord Plumes is dead. His followers are still in a daze, directionless. Then there's District 3, the Third Lord Rast is currently being used as a lightning rod. As for his men, should they be charged with treason, District 4 is controlled by Tartu, the Serpent Lord. In the game, he comes across as remarkably loyal. After running through all this, I figure Districts 2 and 4 will be the easiest to rally, but I decide to hold off and push things forward gradually until the next harvest. At this point, Japiros reports that he's begun preparing large batch freeze-dried potatoes. I acknowledge the update and tell him to keep tight control of the meal vouchers. Right after, a small imp comes to me with a report. The standby orders have been relayed to all districts, but it also brings bad news. The demons in District 4 aren't cooperating. I ask why, and it has no idea. Furious, I grab it by the wings, utterly exasperated by its complete lack of brains. The imp quickly adds, there are only a handful of servants left in District 4. The whole place is basically empty. I press it with more questions, but get absolutely nothing useful out of it. I completely lose it. This feels exactly like dealing with those do-nothing clerks in the administrative department. Then, ever-thoughtful Japiros steps in and asks the imp the same question I just did. This time, the imp actually understands and says, they went and invaded human territory, said they wanted to collect human corpses to use as compost. My expression completely falls apart the moment I hear that, because based on the game's lore, the ancient holy night awakens the very moment the demons invade. That's what triggers them to march out and slaughter the demons. In other words, as long as there's no invasion, the holy night won't attack the demons. But if the fourth lord launches an assault on the humans, Sinchashar will come. The thought barely finishes forming before I'm already sprinting out, activating attribute focus on the fly, pushing my agility to 160%. In an instant, I shoot forward like a rocket. My route takes me from the demons' forsaken lands, straight through the tomb of the holy knights, the Tower of Life, the no man's land where Sinchashar first crosses paths with Elbija and her party, and the exile village where they briefly made camp. A little further down the road lies the frontier between the demon and human realms, the Magaroth fortress. On the ramparts, the guards scan through their telescopes. They spot Elbija and his attendants returning, with an unfamiliar figure in tow. Commander Vox receives word and comes down to the gate to meet them. He asks, what happened to the soldiers who accompanied you? Elbija replies, we ran into a monster horde along the way, so we never even got close to the demon territory. Vox shakes his head with a sigh, then tells Elbija to head inside and rest. But just as Sinchashar is about to step through the gate, Vox draws his sword and blocks the way. He says coldly, I didn't say you could enter. Sinchashar meets his eyes, and the look in them is dark and unsettling. Vox is visibly unnerved by that stare. With the tension rising, Elbija quickly steps in to smooth things over. His attendant pulls out a few gold coins from his pocket, attempting a bribe. Vox slaps him straight to the ground. He points his sword at Sinchashar and says in a low, hard voice, take off the coat. If I find anything suspicious, I'll execute you on the spot. Sinchashar glances down at the attendant looking dejected on the ground, and is just about to deal with Vox's arrogance properly, when a warning horn suddenly blares. Everyone turns to see a wall of dust rolling in from the distance, as if an entire army is bearing down on them. Leading the charge is the fourth demon lord, the Serpent Tartu. Vox shouts at once, battle stations! And at that very moment, a voice rings out in Sinchashar's mind, kill them all! Meanwhile, I'm running for my life, whispering a desperate prayer under my breath. Please, please don't attack. If you do, every demon is going to die. On the other side, Tartu is commanding his troops to ram sharpened wooden stakes against the city gate. The soldiers on the wall fire back with arrows. The demons hold their own, hurling rocks that knock soldiers clean off the ramparts. The battle turns fierce in an instant. Inside the city, the civilians are flooding into underground shelters. Listening to the chaos above, Sinchashar thinks to himself, every instinct I have is screaming at me to charge out there and fight. 19 lifetimes of being driven by a mission. An endless cycle of slaughter burned into me, and now it's trying to push me into the fight again. Fortunately, Elbija grabs hold of him. Even so, the gate doesn't hold. The demons break through. A flood of ferocious demons comes pouring in. Vox immediately orders the bridge behind the city to be blown, and beneath the sound of the explosion, blades are already raining down from above. Moments later, a towering serpent smashes through a wall and snatches a small girl in its grasp. Sinchashar's brow furrows. Then, in one clean strike, he cuts the serpent down. Elbija catches the girl as she falls. Sinchashar hesitates no longer. He throws himself into the chaos and comes face to face with the Lord himself, Tartu. Looking at Sinchashar's outfit, Tartu thinks, what on earth is he wearing? That's bizarre. Then Sinchashar speaks, I don't want to fight, stand down. Tartu scoffs. You think you're in a position to give me orders? What exactly are you going to do if I don't? Sinchashar's eyes go cold. Then I'll wipe out your entire clan. Before the words have even fully landed, Tartu swings his massive cleaver straight at him. Just before the blade comes down, Sinchashar thinks with resignation, I suppose this is the only way. If this is fate, then so be it. When he opens his eyes again, his gaze is suddenly resolute. He's just about to make his move when I arrive right on time, kicking Tartu's blade out of his hand and sending him flying to the side. With that done, I'm completely out of breath, panting heavily. That full sprint nearly killed me. Once I've steadied myself, I turn to look at whoever's standing before me. Sinchashar is staring straight at me, his gaze sharp and searching. A wave of panic hits me immediately. What is he doing here? Tartu barely gets one word out before I lay into him. I say, you reckless idiot, invading the humans like that. You nearly caused a catastrophe. The reason I choose to dress Tartu down right in front of Sinchashar is hoping it might convince him to let us demons off the hook. What I don't expect is for Sinchashar to suddenly speak, I know who you are. You're the Demon King, Kratos, aren't you? The color drains from my face the instant I hear that. This is bad. I'm done for. I scramble for a cover story. Kratos, is that the name of a computer operating system? Sinchashar answers calmly, I'm not asking because I don't know. I just wanted to confirm. My heart is pounding harder now. If I just stand here frozen, I'm definitely getting hit. With that thought, I lunge toward him, then drop to my knees with a loud thud, pressing my forehead firmly against the ground, hard enough that my demon horns drive straight into it. Then I flip upright into a full headstand. Taking in my bizarre posture, Sinchashar's expression shifts to one of visible discomfort. The demons are stunned too, thinking, is this some new intimidation technique the Demon King has developed? I say. This is how demons express the deepest possible apology. The invasion was entirely the Serpent Clan's doing. I came here specifically to stop them. I press my forehead to the ground again, hard and repeatedly. Please believe me, even if I grind my horns to dust, I'll keep apologizing. The demons misread this too, murmuring in awe, just like a bull furiously pawing the earth, a show of raw ferocity, worthy of a demon king. I keep on kowtowing, thinking to myself, I know how pathetic this looks, but if I don't do this, every demon dies. I think of a scene from long ago. When I was young, I watched my father kowtow over and over before a customer. He knew full well the customer was being completely unreasonable, but still he apologized humbly, begging him not to leave a bad review. In that moment, I understood. Being the head of a family means being willing to swallow any humiliation for the sake of the people you love. And at that very moment, Sinchashar is thinking, a useless demon king. My whole existence is meant for killing you. With that, he slowly raises his magic staff, but doesn't strike immediately, because he's noticed something. I've been kowtowing non-stop since the moment I started, and every time, it's exactly 10 bows. Then a brief pause after every 10. Something about that feels oddly familiar to him, and then it hits him, the hand of fate. It's always 10. Tearing up demon land, always exactly 10 before it stops. Before leaping into a trap, it always counts down to precisely 10 seconds. Even in places with no enemies at all, it spins meaninglessly, exactly 10 times, no more. On top of that, the way I talk sounds nothing like a demon king should. Piece by piece, the details fall into place, forming an answer he never could have anticipated. Why would the hand of fate appear before him wearing the face of the demon king? The thought settles, and he says quietly, stop, get out of my sight. Right now, I want nothing more than to kill you. Relief floods through me the instant I hear those words. I waste no time. I call the demon army to retreat. But then things take an unexpected turn. Midway through the retreat, Tartu, who I'm carrying on my shoulder, suddenly comes to. He leaps off and charges straight at Sinchashar. Just as his claws are about to rake across Sinchashar's back, Sinchashar raises a hand, and in an instant, Both of Tartu's arms are severed. What's left of him is driven straight into the wall. I look at the bloodied Tartu in silence, then turn to Sinchashar, trembling from head to toe. His eyes are filled to the brim with killing intent, but he doesn't come at me. Instead, he says quietly, "That wasn't your doing just now. I can let it go this once. But if you ever dare set foot in the human realm again, next time I will kill you." Before long, Sinchashar makes his way back into the city. This time, Vox completely reverses his tone and greets him warmly, apologizing for his rudeness earlier. Then gives the order, "All troops salute Sinchashar for defending the fortress. Shout long live." In an instant, the entire garrison erupts in cheers for Sinchashar. Taking in the wave of applause all around him, Sinchashar reflects, "In this, my 20th cycle of rebirth, I've finally broken free from the endless slaughter. For the first time, I've chosen the path of redemption." On the other side, back in District 4, I finally return with my group of followers in tow. With the mission done, I send the demons home, then rush off to check on the giant potato farming operation. On the way back, I pass by a dried-up spring and slump over it, feeling sorry for myself. God, I wish I could just teleport. But I'm not a holy knight. I probably can't activate it. What I don't expect is for the spring to start glowing. A second later, the system chime sounds, "New game system unlocked. Triggered by encountering a holy knight. Travel via springs is now available." Then the spring's powerful suction yanks me straight in. The system asks where I want to go. I say the Demon King's dungeon, but the spring there was destroyed. The system tells me it's still intact and instantly warps me straight to the dungeon. Meanwhile, the little demon girl and Asura are rummaging through the soil, searching for undamaged farming tools. The next second, the ground beneath the little demon girl's feet suddenly glows blue. Then my contorted, grimacing face emerges from the light. I burst up through the earth like a sprouting seed. The little demon girl is scared right out of consciousness on the spot. As for me, the sheer force of the impact sends my stomach into complete revolt, and I vomit out a full rainbow cascade right then and there. Fortunately, Azarath rushes to the little demon girl's side just in time, and takes the full blast of my rainbow cascade for her. After a thorough purging, I finally feel like a new person. Then, with renewed energy, I start mapping out the next phase, mass-producing giant potatoes. I make my way to the storage room. The sight of all those enormous potatoes scrubbed clean by Hartok fills me with a deep sense of pride, but something feels subtly off. It isn't until I pick one up and examine it closely that I realize what's wrong. The surface is completely smooth, not a single sprout to be found, which means these potatoes can't be used as seed potatoes at all. With this devastating news, I quickly call everyone together for a meeting. Hartok explains, "This is most likely a genetic mutation caused by unnatural means. They've lost the ability to reproduce." But I stay calm. We can't rely on just potatoes forever anyway. Sooner or later, we'd have to switch to other crops. Asurath asks, "Is there anything else on this land we could grow besides potatoes?" I say no, but I know of a place with plenty of crops we could plant. If we're talking about a place with an abundance of seeds, that would be human territory. Bahal immediately erupts with excitement. "Invade, raid, this is no different from war." Circe, though, doesn't believe for a second that I would invade human territory. After all, nobody hates war more than the Demon King himself. Sure enough, I begin issuing orders. "Japiros, start producing large batches of freeze-dried potatoes right away. Then stay here and help Hartok manage the farming crew. Circe, Bahal, Asurath, you're coming with me to human territory to sell freeze-dried potatoes, and use the money we earn to buy seeds to bring back." As I lay out the plan, I think, as long as we don't run into Sinchashar, we'll be fine. But hearing this, Japiros tells me to take a good look at the three demon generals. One looks like a straight-up monster, one has the face of a murderer that no human could possibly have, and the other is deathly pale and ice-cold in appearance. Show up looking like that in front of humans and they'd obviously get mobbed as demons. At that, Circe and Asurath are ready to finish Japiros on the spot. Bahal thinks he makes a perfectly valid point, and confidently declares he looks the most normal. Hartok calls out all of them for their terrible self-awareness. Standing next to him, they all look the same to him. Asurath calls him a walking corpse. Circe immediately mocks the two of them as salted fish that dried out and got fried again, which earns her a barrage of insults from both. The three of them dissolve into an all-out brawl, and the whole scene descends into complete chaos. I watch them go at it, exasperated, thinking every single one of them is obsessed with how they look. Honestly, kinda sad. With that thought, I put a stop to it and tell Japiros to bring out what I took from Abyssator. A few small, entirely blue worms, slowly writhing. "These are metamorphosis elixirs," I say with excitement. "Swallow one of these and you transform into a completely different kind of creature." The demon generals stare at the glistening, slimy worms. Not one of them can bring themselves to take a bite. In the end, it's Bahal who steps up first, tossing the blue worm into his mouth without hesitation. The sound of chewing and the splatter of unidentified blue liquid makes every other demon general's skin crawl. Then something incredible happens. The moment he swallows it, Bahal's entire body erupts in golden light. Then, with a boom, he transforms into a strikingly handsome young man. The metamorphosis elixir takes the shape of whatever your heart secretly desires. I can't help but think, so this is what he's always dreamed of looking like. Seeing Bahal's transformation turn out so well, Circe quickly swallows one too, but she ends up turning into a llama, because her wish was to become a cold-blooded ruler who strikes fear into the hearts of gentle demons. I shove an elixir into Asurath's mouth next. He immediately turns into a pelican, rooted in his longing for freedom, born from all those years of being used as a lightning rod. As for me, I end up looking like a college student with a slightly shifty vibe. And so, 2 in human form and 2 in animal form. We set off with our goods in tow. At that point, the system notifies me that happiness point benefits will not be available while using the metamorphosis elixir. I think to myself, same as in the game. Using a skill or taking damage reverts you back to normal. We'll have to be careful. We warp through the spring and materialize right outside Magrath Fortress on the human side, but we find ourselves stuck at the gate. I'm terrified of running into Sinchishar, but since he was last seen here, it means he's been moving deeper into human territory. Enough time has passed that he's likely already reached his destination and is no longer here, and even if he is, he might not recognize me in this form. The moment I approach the gate, one of the guards stops me. Then Volkes appears. He looks us over for a moment. He says, "Looks like you're from the exile village. Turn around. You don't have the right to come through this gate." I had a feeling this might happen, but I've read the game's lore logs 10 times over. I'm a veteran. So I give him my most ingratiating smile and tell him I found tribute from the demon lands, then gesture to the llama and the duck behind me. These are rare beasts captured alive. Their meat is exceptionally fine. Vox falls silent for a brief moment after that, then says in a measured tone, "You're seriously trying to offer the Emperor such common animals as tribute?" My expression completely collapses. Were llamas and ducks common in the Middle Ages? Vox says with a dour look, "Take those 2 worthless foul-smelling things and go back where you came from." Circe, unable to take the humiliation, lets out an enraged cry, "Llama!" Vox is visibly stunned. The llama's pronunciation is just as clear and articulate as a human's. Could this be no ordinary llama? The idea sparks something in me immediately. I launch into a pitch for this extraordinary llama, and while I'm at it, force Asura to call out too. Vox changes his mind on the spot and waves us through. But even inside the city, we can't roam freely. We'll need to travel with one of the royal envoys. I then meet with Elbija under the alias Jin Changje, but the moment he hears we're from the exile village, Elbija says he lived there for several months and never once saw us. Then he shouts, "Identify yourselves. Are you demons?" Just as I'm starting to panic, his attendant Dalo says, "Oh, there goes my lord Elbija's face blindness again." He points at me and says to Elbija, "Take a closer look, my lord." That's the fellow who lives second from the left, but what he actually whispers in his ear is, "Just take them along. That way we'll have tribute to present to the king." Elbija immediately does an about-face and says it was all a misunderstanding. I watch Dilo and think, that potato-face guy is sharp and practical. I can work with him. But Dilo is thinking, that sickly-looking one, I'll squeeze every bit of use out of him, then cut him loose. With an understanding reached, Elbija mentions there's one more person who'll be traveling with us, and introduces me to Sinchishar. The moment I see him, my whole body starts trembling uncontrollably. I can barely get through my own introduction. But Sinchishar doesn't see through me. He just says, "Your liver doesn't look too healthy. Take better care of yourself." I breathe a sigh of relief at that. What I don't notice is the knowing, icy look in Sinchishar's eyes. That night, the group makes camp and starts a fire. I quietly keep an eye on Sinchishar, thinking all I need to do is sell the freeze-dried potatoes and buy seeds. No reason to travel all the way to wherever they're going. But Sinchishar catches me staring and shoots a glance right back at me. I quickly pretend I'm just saying hello. He gives me a polite nod in return, feeling the weight of his presence pressing down on me. I make up my mind. I'm slipping away in the dead of night. Midnight comes soon enough. I rouse Bahal from his dead sleep and gather the other 2 from outside the tent, but Sinchishar is already waiting. I freeze completely, thinking, we're done for. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hartok and Japiros both have looks of grim concern on their faces, because all of Third Lord Rast's minions have shown up here. They know their boss is here, and word has spread that there's food to be had. Hartok is beside himself. The Demon King hasn't gotten seeds yet. There's nowhere near enough food to feed all of them. And it isn't just District 3. The plant demons from District 2 and the serpent demons from District 4 come pouring in as well. They surround Hartok, demanding food. So Hartok asks Japiros how many large potatoes they have left. Japiros says there are still plenty, but not nearly enough to last them through what's coming. Hartok falls into thought at that. He thinks back to what the Demon King said before leaving. "While I'm gone, you are the Demon King. Think and act like one." So he straightens up and declares in a firm voice, "Every clan stake out your own territory and settle in. Food is my responsibility." Over on the other side, Sinchishar asks calmly, "Tell me, who are you really?" I'm completely thrown. I have no idea what to say. Bahal whispers to me, asking if we should just go for it. I quickly tell him to absolutely not make a move, because Sinchishar's power is beyond anything we can gauge. But he hears every word, and still doesn't come at me. What I don't know is that he's already figured out who I am, and he very much wants to know what's truly going on in my head. Left with no other choice, I come clean. We're not here to give tribute to the king. Our land is barren, but whatever the circumstances, we still need to farm. I gesture to the cargo on the cart. What's in there is our specialty freeze-dried potatoes. We came here to sell them and trade for vegetable seeds, that's all. And the reason we tried to sneak off is because we were afraid of being found out. We just want to get to the nearest town as fast as we can. Then I lay on the sympathy, good and thick. Sinchishar believes me, and it suddenly clicks for him, so that's why the demons have been eating people. Because they're starving. He says, "I understand, but I can't just stand by and let you run. The only reason Elbisha helped you through the fortress is because you had tribute to present to the king. I can't put him in a difficult position. Sell the freeze-dried potatoes on the way to the royal capital, buy all the seeds you need along the way, but you have to come with me to the capital." capital, and present the duck and the llama to the king as agreed. I agree to his terms without hesitation, but in the back of my mind, I've already decided the moment I get those seeds, I'm gone. The next morning, I lay out the plan to Elbija and show him the freeze-dried potatoes on the cart. The guileless Elbija immediately gets on board. Dalo, though, thinks it's a shame. Those freeze-dried potatoes could easily pass as tribute themselves. I brush him off with an excuse, though honestly, I see his point. Still, putting distance between myself and Sinchashar matters far more right now. Before long, we arrive at the commercial city of Daparazi. I immediately drag out the goods, ready to sell everything we've got. But the market street is strangely quiet, even less lively than a demon marketplace. I find it odd, but set up the stall anyway, and start calling out to passersby at the top of my voice. Seeing me like this, completely abandoning all dignity as a demon king, Bahal is mortified. I snap back at him. What's there to be ashamed of when your survival is on the line? Demons have eaten their own kind just to stay alive. If a little embarrassment is all it takes to fill our stomachs, then we should be counting our blessings. Bahal is shaken by that, and quickly joins in. Not just him, I rope in Circe and Asurath too. And so, two in human form and two in animal form, we set up shop in the human world. As I call out to customers, I think, if you crossed over from the modern world into a fantasy one, selling ice cream or food loaded with seasoning would have people lining up in no time. But this is just a perfectly ordinary giant potato. Novelty might get people to buy a little. Turning that into serious sales is a whole different challenge. So all you can do is push and push some more. But the result catches me completely off guard. My stall is instantly swarmed with people, all of them throwing around money freely, buying 6, 8 at a time. What starts as genuine shock on my part quickly turns into my arms going numb from handing things over. In no time at all, a third of our freeze-dried potatoes are sold. Satisfied with that, I send the demon generals back and head off on my own to buy seeds. But when I approach one of the vendors and ask, I get a response that cuts right to the bone. Seeds? In this city, I'm afraid you won't find any. The stall owner tells me that most of the food and seeds have been swept up by a big merchant guild. I quickly ask where this guild is. He tells me to ask the person walking toward me from behind. I turn around. A green-haired man asks, "Are you the one who was selling those giant potatoes just now?" It turns out he is Rutherland, secretary to the great merchant Rimmond, responsible for the guild's day-to-day affairs. I ask what he wants with me. He says he's willing to buy all my potatoes at 20% above my selling price. Instead of agreeing right away, I ask how much a cabbage seed packet costs. He says it runs about 100 gold coins at their guild. I think to myself, what a racket. By this world's prices, 50 gold coins would be the most, and they're doubling it. Now everything clicks. These guild people are crooks, monopolizing the supply chain to drive up prices and rake in obscene profits. No wonder the inn is run down and dead quiet. The market is practically empty. Even freeze-dried potatoes are being fought over. A plan quickly takes shape in my mind. I flash a meaningful smile, because I know that even if I sell all the freeze-dried potatoes to them, according to their inflated prices, I won't get many seeds in return. But who says I have to buy from them? Rules exist? Sure, but I'm a demon. Rules don't apply to me. With that thought, I glance toward a secluded corner. I know Sinchishar is watching me from there, and I can tell he's grown suspicious. But I've already worked out a plan, one that lets me shake him off and get the seeds. So I tilt my chin up and say to Rutherland, "Get your boss." Rutherland insists that he is the one in charge of guild affairs. I click my tongue impatiently. Looking down my nose at him, I say, "But you're just an employee. You're not qualified to negotiate with me." Rutherland protests, "I'm the second in command of the Riemann Merchant Guild. Nearly all decision-making authority rests with me." I raise my voice, "Fine then. 200 gold coins per potato. Take it or leave it." Rutherland balks. 200 gold coins is way too much. I smirk. "Look at you, thinking so small. What, you can't call the shots?" I'm sure your boss is thinking, these giant potatoes keep well in storage. If they can be supplied to the kingdom's army, the profits would be enormous. If these potatoes are sold cheap first to lock in a long-term military contract, would that be a loss or a gain in the end? Rutherland is completely speechless, and so I drag out the negotiations with him until dusk. Suddenly, heavy rain begins to fall. Circe and Asurath, tied up outside, are left to get soaked. Asurath curses the Demon King furiously. Circe tells him to keep it down and not blow their cover. Asurath says, "Since when are you so loyal to him? Doesn't it infuriate you, being dragged all the way into human territory like this?" Circe replies calmly, "I find it rather interesting. I've been curious about this place ever since I was little. I've heard the food here is plentiful and they don't eat each other. My parents were eaten by stronger demons, but I wasn't sad about it, because that's just normal where we come from. When your brothers and sisters were eaten, you felt something similar, didn't you? This city is poorer than I imagined, but at least they don't tear each other apart. Back at the market, I saw a father who was starving himself, and he still gave the freeze-dried potatoes to his child first. If we had been born here, we'd probably be happy too." Asurath's eyes soften, and he gazes at her in silence. Rain and tears slide down her face together. He spreads his wings to shield her from the wind and rain, and gently says, "Our time will come too. the demon race will have its era of happiness. But just then, my arrival shatters the tender moment. The two of them assume I've misread the situation and stumble over themselves with flustered excuses. I couldn't care less, and I drag them inside, saying we're holding a demon war council. After hearing me out, everyone is puzzled by the guild's motives. I say, they're not afraid of going hungry, they just want to make more money, to keep getting richer. Asurath's expression grows heavy. As a child, he watched helplessly as demons devoured his own brothers and sisters. Circe, too, recalls the dismembered remains of her parents left on the ground after they were consumed. Bahal mutters quietly, I don't know why, but I'm angry. Seeing their low spirits, I reassure them, all we need to do is stay calm and keep our eyes on the goal. Then I make my decision. We're breaking into the guild's warehouse. The scene shifts to an open clearing somewhere in the Forsaken Lands. Japiros arrives with the farming crew. They stare at Hartok standing at the center of a whirlwind, all of them curious about what he's doing. He had the demons build a massive stone pot out of rocks, then kept whipping up whirlwinds to draw in water. Now he is completely exhausted. He finally stops. Japiros quietly steps closer and asks, Lord Hartok, you seem to be pushing yourself too hard. Why do you need so much water? Hartok answers wearily, the freeze-dried potatoes we have aren't nearly enough to feed this many people, so I'm going to cook the freeze-dried potatoes in water. A little ingenuity and the same ingredients can stretch into several times the portions. Every demon in the Forsaken Lands must be fed. Japiros thinks to himself, he's doing something kind, yet his face looks like he wants to eat someone alive. Is he really a demon? Ever since the Demon King announced the farming initiative, everything has been changing. Even the cold and ruthless Lord Hartok is now pushing himself to the limit for the sake of other demons. What could have changed him like this? But Japiros is still too naive. Hartok is doing all of this simply because he wants more praise. At that moment, Japiros thinks of a problem, but heating a stone pot this large will take an enormous amount of firewood. Hartok says, that's why, starting now, we head straight to District 3, the sealed volcano, and capture the Flame Devourer. Meanwhile, in the sun-drenched Daparazi, the great merchant Rimon makes his appearance. He surveys the battered, worn-down inn before him, then turns to Rutherland with a look of exasperation. This time I'm truly disappointed. To be bluffed by some ignorant country bumpkin, how can someone this foolish ever amount to anything? He orders Rutherland to wait outside, and declares that he will personally take what he wants from the other party. At the same time, inside the room, I hear a knock at the door and call out, who is it? Raymond answers, I'm Raymond, a humble merchant of this city. You summoned me, so here I am. I let him in directly. Raymond thinks smugly naive people always let their guard down at this kind of hollow courtesy. They never understand. Predators are most skilled at wearing a friendly mask, but his arrogance is shattered in the very next second. Even in human form, our menace shows through. Rimmond's swagger evaporates instantly and he screams inside, good God, they're terrifying. I tilt my chin up, have a seat. Rimmond obediently sits down and thinks, how is everyone in this room so terrifying? They look downright demonic. And why are there two beasts in the room? Wait, are those really beasts? Those are clearly human expressions. And who is that handsome, towering, drooling figure? I skip the pleasantries and get straight to the point. I trust you've heard my offer? He answers compliantly, I heard 200 gold coins per giant potato. I say, wrong, it's 300. At that, Rimmond's face falls. He starts to argue, but I cut him off. Our party includes a young lord by the name of Elbija. He is a noble with direct ties to the royal family. Making a good impression in front of him can only work in your favor. After a thorough discussion, Rimmond steps outside and tells Rutherland, agreed. 300 gold coins per giant potato. He instructs, have those guests moved into the estate and prepare separate rooms for those two beasts. Rutherland says, puzzled, Lord Rimmond, why be so generous to that bunch of clueless ruffians? Ryman drops his earlier arrogance and roars, you fool! A small loss now is an investment in a far greater return later. He turns and walks away, never noticing the resentment smoldering on Rutherland's face. Back inside, Bahal asks me why I don't just kill them and take the seeds. I explain that doing so could break the metamorphosis effect and trigger a war between humans and demons. So the best move is to avoid conflict, quietly strip the place of its supplies and slip away. That guy's hoarding operation depends on three things: powerful backers to help him dodge the law, deep pockets, and a warehouse large enough to stockpile massive quantities of food. We move into his estate first and pinpoint where the warehouse is. Circe asks curiously, how do you understand human psychology so well? It's like you've lived in the human world for ages. I smile coldly, because I am the Demon King. Of course I understand. In reality, I'm just about to use cheat codes. But outside the door, Sinchishar has already heard every word. His expression is grave as he thinks to himself, is the hand of fate planning to plunder the humans? Soon, we move into Rimon's estate. After I explain how we managed to land in such a lavish place, Elbija can't help but marvel that those potatoes are worth so much. Deira looks absolutely stricken, and frantically asks if I've sold all the potatoes. When I confirm that I have, he completely loses it. But I immediately say I'll go steal them back. He declares without hesitation that he'll help. Elbija, however, says gravely, I am a public official, I absolutely cannot allow this. So I say, then surely you'd even less allow things like hoarding grain and destroying a city's economy. The scene shifts to the estate courtyard where Rutherland is overseeing his men as they haul in Rutherland the freeze-dried potatoes. I walk straight up to him. I say I want to tour the warehouse and see how they preserve the potatoes. Rutherland refuses outright, saying the guild's food preservation methods are a trade secret. The moment he refuses, I immediately throw myself on the ground and start throwing a tantrum, demanding he take me there. Rutherland has no idea what to do with me, and reluctantly tells his men to start moving the goods into the warehouse first. What he doesn't expect is that I immediately stretch out flat in the middle of the road, announcing that either the cart runs over me or he takes me to the warehouse. The driver tries to drag me to the side of the road in frustration, but can't budge me an inch. Seeing this, I start belting out a bizarre song at the top of my lungs. The whole spectacle leaves Rutherland absolutely fuming. Even the demon generals watch on in stunned disbelief. Inside the room, Elbesia cringes. I can't believe I'm associated with this man. This is mortifying. But behind him, Deiros sighs with admiration. Now that's a real man. To achieve his goal, he's willing to throw away even his dignity. That's something I could spend a lifetime learning from. Elbesia rails against this behavior, even more displeased than before. He recalls what I had said: exposing their crimes and punishing them takes gathering evidence, tracking down the masterminds, then filing an appeal in court. That takes forever, I say trembly. Through all those long days, I truly cannot bear to watch that kind of situation drag on. Elbesia finds himself choking up at those words too. I continue, let us join forces and take back everything these villains have stolen from the people. Reflecting on this, Elbesia thinks I now understand the depth of his conviction and resolve. I will do everything I can to help, and his idea of helping is for me to go scout out the warehouse location while he goes to prepare what I've asked him for. What Elbesia never expects is that my method of locating the warehouse is this: throwing a full-blown tantrum on the ground. On the other side, several men grab my arms and legs and fling me to the side of the road. But like a cockroach that won't die, I start crawling back toward the cart. Rutherland seizes the moment and quickly orders the cart to move out. This time, however, I don't give chase, because my work here is done. A moment later, the system notification chimes. Rutherland will be seething for the next 7 hours. He'll head straight to the secret warehouse hidden underground at the coal mine on the outskirts of the territory. A slow, wicked grin spreads across my face. Inside the room, Sinchashar notices my expression. He thinks to himself, with his abilities, he could take everything by force without breaking a sweat. Is he really doing this for justice? Or is this about plunder? Is he a demon or a hero? The more I watch him, the less I can figure him out. Meanwhile, in an underground cave, Yapiro says with concern, "The Flame Devourer is incredibly powerful. We should bring a full legion." But Hartok insists that would only mean more casualties. It is the 4 demon generals who should be protecting those beneath them and charging ahead. With that, he bends the iron bars of the cage with his bare hands. Japiros is so moved he trembles all over, but Hartok asks him, "Aren't you going to write down what I just said?" Then he strides forward, thinking smugly, "I'm so cool. Surely the Demon King will praise me for this." The Flame Devourer has a low intellect and a violent nature. It was condemned to die for devouring its own kind, but its power was deemed too great to waste, so it was sealed here instead. With this in mind, he reaches the edge of the cliff and looks down at the churning lava below. "Come out, Flame Devourer Ikote. I have something to tell you." The moment those words leave his mouth, the lava erupts violently. A towering column shoots straight up like a wave, then a massive demonic creature emerges from within, snarling endlessly. "Food, food." Hartok's face drains of color. Damn, it's enormous. There's no time to think. He turns and runs. Ikote tears straight through the cage and gives chase. It spews torrents of flame, trying to incinerate Hartok on the spot. Japiros asks, "What's going on?" Hartok shouts as he flees. "Ikote has been feeding on fire for so long it's grown monstrously powerful. Fall back. We'll figure out another way to make fire later." But before he finishes, he suddenly thinks of the starving demon refugees. He falters, then abruptly turns around. He stops running. He charges straight at Ikote, roaring, "I am Hartok, one of the 4 demon generals, and I will give everything I have to complete this mission." The battle is about to erupt. At that very moment, the small dragon in Japiros's arms lazily spits a tiny gob of icy phlegm at Ikote. That little glob lands on Ikote's cheek and begins spreading instantly. Within seconds, Ikote is frozen solid into an ice sculpture. An awkward silence falls over the scene. Japiros pulls out his little notebook and starts writing. Lord Hartok looked extremely awkward at that moment. Hartok roars, "Don't you dare write that." Evening, Rimmond's estate. I change into a disguise and tell the others I'm heading out first to scout the warehouse. Elbesia and the other 2 should wait for my signal. Elbesia asks, "Why are we keeping this from Sinchashar?" I say he's too conspicuous. He'd only get in the way. Elbesia glances at Bahal, standing a full head taller than him, then steals a look at the 2 beasts crouching by the wall, and after a long pause, reluctantly accepts this explanation. With everything in place, I head straight to the cave entrance leading to the warehouse, and slip inside without a sound. I'm just starting to wonder where exactly the granary might be when I sense someone approaching from behind. I turn around. Sinchashar has actually followed me. I nearly have a heart attack. Sinchashar says calmly, "You're here to distribute the grain to the citizens, aren't you?" "I'm here to help." I ask how he knew. He says his hearing is sharp. He's caught every conversation we've had these past few days. After a moment of shock and inner turmoil, I I accept the situation and let him help me map out the route. He asks why I'm being so sneaky about it. Wouldn't it be simpler to just kill all these soldiers? That question instantly brings to mind the real world, where I used to control him in a game. The image of him cutting through everything to clear the levels flashes through my mind. So I say, life is precious, getting things done as peacefully as possible. That's the best way. To my surprise, Sinchashar is easily convinced. He says, alright, we'll do it your way. We press deeper into the mine, but the further in we go, the fewer guards there are. Then a faint humming sound catches my attention. I look closely. Several golems are patrolling the area, scanning with laser eyes. It clicks, those must be the golems mentioned in the game logs. Weapons engineered by a demon tower built for humans. I'm still sizing up their capabilities when I realize Sinchashar has already taken them all out. I rush over. Why did you attack without warning? He shrugs. They're not living beings. What's the problem? Taking them out speeds things up. I pause for a moment, then break into an evil grin. You know what? You're right. Then we move into the next district and find 3 golems standing guard. I'm about to start working out a careful plan. Sinchashar says, I've already traced their movement patterns more than 10 times. Once a blind spot opens up, we take them out one by one, starting with the furthest lone individual. I think with a jolt, he said he learned that. Does he actually still remember the feel of being controlled by me? Sinchashar adds that the opening is almost impossible to find. I suggest we attack simultaneously, but he points to 2 of the golems and asks if I want to wait until they're far enough apart to take down separately. I hesitate. My skills are too rough around the edges. I can't guarantee a one-hit takedown on a golem. Hearing this, Sinchashar immediately hands me his own magic staff. I recognize it at once. It's one of the hidden most powerful weapons in the game, Rajia's Pretty Heart Mallet. I'd always assumed it was a joke item, but the more I used it, the more I realized it was an absolute god-tier weapon. Just equipping it boosts all stats by 30%. With this in hand, I might actually stand a chance against these golems. Seeing me take the weapon, he pulls a large blade from under his coat. Before I can react, he is already moving. I think to myself that he's charging in too recklessly, but I follow right behind him. Then I notice he stops midway, as if waiting for me. And then, in perfect sync, we both strike at once, each taking out the golem in front of us. But the last golem is about to turn around, and its movement is completely unpredictable. I decide to roll low and close the distance, staying out of its line of sight. Without a word, Sinchashar rolls forward in the exact same way. His blade comes down swift and clean, and the last golem is finished off in one strike. It hits me instantly. Sinchashar isn't just fast, he is moving in perfect sync with me. I verify this further as we continue. Knowing I'm moving alongside such a terrifyingly capable creature, I feel a strange, inexplicable rush of excitement. Sinchashar thinks quietly to himself, you taught me to kill, yet you tell me not to kill needlessly. You once sought to destroy humanity, yet now you long for peace. You, this being from some mysterious other dimension, never stop confusing me. But fighting side by side with you like this right now, I feel something like joy. If I asked you, would you ever tell me who you really are? Just then I notice Sinchashar is about to choke a soldier unconscious, and I quickly speak up to stop him. I say, truly irredeemable people are rarer than you'd think. These men are here because they need to make a living. Maybe they carry wounds no one ever sees. That's why I don't want to hurt them. Sinchashar says nothing for a long time. After that, we arrive at a large door, guarded by an enormous golem. I figure this must be the warehouse. I plan to head back and retrieve what we prepared, but Sinchashar signals me to wait. Someone is coming. Sure enough, Ramond appears at the warehouse entrance. At the sight of him, the massive golem speaks in a deep, flat voice. Identity unrecognized. No one is permitted to enter this place. I will count to 3. If you do not leave, I will begin attacking. Ramond raises his hand and holds up his index finger, showing it the ring. The golem's eyes glow blue. Blood signature confirmed as Lord Rimond. Welcome. The great door slowly swings open and Rimond walks inside. Watching all of this, everything falls into place for me, so it reads his blood for identification. If anything, this actually makes the plan go more smoothly. Through the open door, I can clearly see mountains of supplies inside, not just bread, all kinds of vegetables, and carefully preserved seeds. I lean close to Sinchashar's ear and whisper, the plan needs a slight adjustment. All 3 golems happen to be together now. Let's take them all out at once. Sinchashar answers calmly, easy. The words are barely out before he moves. All 3 golems drop at the same time, and I charge around behind Rimond, landing a solid punch right in his face. I then tie him up in the interrogation room. When he comes to, I thrust my face right up to his and ask why there's an interrogation room in a warehouse. Rimond claims it's a fitness training room, so I cup his face in both hands and activate Blood Eye. But my eyes open too wide and I start tearing up on the spot, enough to send Rimond shaking in his seat. At that moment, the system notification sounds. From this point on, Rimond will attempt to seize control of you by force and use intimidation to extract information about where the giant potatoes come from. A chilling grin spreads across my face. Thanks to you, everything that was gnawing at me has been cleared up. I tell Sinchashar to stay put, saying this will be an eye-opener for him. But Rimond smirks and lowers his voice. Rookie, don't underestimate my security. Barely a second later, a massive golem appears in the doorway. Rimond screams, Great Guardian Golem Annihilator, crush these 2 into dust. The golem receives the order and moves to act, but I hold up a blood-stained handkerchief toward it. The golem immediately becomes deferential and stands aside. Sinchashar seizes the moment and shatters it. Rimond stands there slack-jawed, thinking, I'm finished. A deranged demon, plus a swordsman who can smash a golem in one hit. What's going to happen to me? On the way back, Sinchashar asks, even if we lock Rimond up, won't they just tighten security? I say, unbothered, let them tighten away. Against a flood of people, no amount of security makes a difference. Meanwhile, 3 demon generals are bellowing out in the streets, clearing out the Ryman Guild warehouse. Everything must go. The Ryman Guild has gone bankrupt. Everything in the warehouse is up for grabs. The announcement draws a crowd in an instant. I appear on the rooftop right on cue and wave everyone toward the warehouse, so a massive surge of people heads straight for the cave. The guards spot them and hastily order the golems to block the way, but I pull the same trick again. I hold up the handkerchief, and the oblivious golems step aside. The crowd can't hold back and storms in. I ask Sinchashar to take the lead and clear out anyone in the way, and I instruct the 3 demon generals, once you're inside the warehouse, take all the seeds, then execute the original plan immediately. Inside the granary, the people swarm in like mice dropped into a barrel of grain, grabbing food in a frenzy. I work just as fast, loading seeds onto the cart. At the same time, Rutherland finds Rimmond in the interrogation room. He tells him the granary has descended into chaos and proposes activating those golem masters. Ryman roars, "You idiot! I want to make money, not commit mass murder." Rutherland says, "And how is that any different from everything you've done until now? You have nothing left. What makes you think I'll follow you anymore?" In the granary, the citizens clutch armfuls of food and vegetables, weeping with relief. But when they try to leave, a golem blocks the exit. At the critical moment, Sinchashar steps in and cuts it down with one strike. And after I finish loading everything I need, I'm buzzing with excitement and about to make a break for it when the ceiling suddenly splits open. Massive slabs of stone come crashing down. They're about to land right on several citizens. I shout, "Demon generals, hold them up!" And together we strain to keep the boulders from falling. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch sight of Rutherland suddenly appearing, and behind him several enormous golems. Meanwhile, in the Forsaken Lands, the mood is nothing but peaceful. The farming crew works together, tossing freeze-dried potatoes into the massive water-filled pots. Another group is directing Ikote. A crew member perched on its horn brings a stick down hard, and a burst of roaring flame shoots from its mouth. Dozens of massive pots begin bubbling and churning. Everyone cheers, showering Hartok with gratitude for his ingenuity in getting everyone fed. Hartok is moved to tears. Back in the cave, the sheer weight of the boulders is becoming more than I can bear. The demon generals are pushing their limits too. At the critical moment, the system suddenly notifies me, "You can now unlock a new skill for Credos, Thorn of Retribution." It's a skill that summons crimson spears to burst from the ground by stomping, perfect for propping up the ceiling. I'm about to use it when the system warns me HP is critically low. I have no choice but to shout at the citizens, "Stop standing there, run!" They take their first steps toward the exit, but a golem slams its fist into the ground, sending a shockwave that stops them cold. Rutherland laughs cruelly, "Leave and the golems will kill you. If you don't want to die, stay there and get crushed." He sneers at the citizens before him, "You miserable paupers, born to have everything taken from you." I cannot stand hearing him degrade these people like this. I want to get up and make him pay, but the boulders keep pressing down, and the pain is unbearable. Rutherland keeps venting his spite. That old guy Ramon never knew how to appreciate what he had. He stares down at a citizen on the ground. "I should grind every last one of you underfoot, until you don't even dare think about standing up," and he stamps down hard on the back of that person's hand. Rage and helplessness twist together inside me, and my heart burns. Then, without warning, the tide turns. A notification appears. "Your Demon King army troops are experiencing the bliss of a delicious meal." HP surges by 15,761 points. Stunned, and then absolutely elated. I think I have no idea what those guys are eating to be that happy, but the timing couldn't be better. It turns out every demon is eating a steaming hot bowl of rehydrated freeze-dried potato porridge. I take my chance and unleash Thorn of Retribution. Using up my HP causes the metamorphosis to break down, and I revert to my true form as the Demon King. The system then reminds me, "Please level up the skill to increase the number of spears." I immediately command the demon generals to push the boulders upward with me, and I burn every last point of HP to upgrade Thorn of Retribution all the way to level 13. The citizens present recognize at once that I am a demon, but I have no time to worry about that now. I activate the skill and countless crimson spears shoot up and lock the boulders in place. Then I turn and walk slowly toward Rutherland. He panics and screams, "Demons, man-eating demons, kill them." I pull out my magic staff and say coldly, "The ones doing the eating around here have been you all along." I grip the magic staff tightly in both hands. Black smoke begins to coil off it, a devil's eye appears within the heart shape, then it shifts form, becoming a sword. This is the sacred sword of the ancient evil god Brajia. All the golems charge at me at once. I swing the sword once, every golem falls. Then I hear Sinchashar's voice, "You were about to kill humans. You really are a demon." I look at him and I know this is bad. I loose my grip. The sword clatters to the floor and reverts to the form of a magic staff. I say quietly, "Please, spare the others behind me." Sinchashar falls into a brief silence. Then he raises his sword and says, "What a shame, I was hoping to learn more about you." I close my eyes and wait for the end. Then Circe suddenly cries out, "Asurath, drop the disguise!" She kicks Asurath hard with her hoof. Asurath swings his massive wing and slaps her back. Together they crash into Bahal's stomach. All three revert to their true forms in an instant and throw themselves between me and Sinchashar. The battle is on the verge of erupting. But at that moment, one of the citizens calls out to Sinchashar, "They are demons, yes, but they saved our lives. It's not only demons who harm people." And then Rutherland shows just how unhinged he truly is. He holds up a round device and screams, "If I'm going to lose it all anyway, I'd rather destroy everything." Raymond rushes over and cries out, "Danger! That's a self-destruct device." But it's already too late. Rutherland has pressed the button. In an instant, the cave erupts in a violent explosion. At the foot of the mountain, Elbija has just led some of the townspeople to safety and witnesses the whole thing. He shouts in panic, "No, there are still people inside!" But the next second, he sees something he can barely believe. 4 silhouettes burst out from the heart of the explosion. When he makes out their faces, Elbija murmurs under his breath, "Those are demons." Meanwhile, after landing, I call out urgently, "We've been exposed. Don't stop. Run straight back to the territory." Raymond, whom I've grabbed, asks in a panic, "Why are you taking me with you too?" I say impatiently, "You're good at managing food supplies. From now on, you're the demon clan's warehouse keeper, you greedy little merchant." With that, I press on alongside the 3 demon generals, racing back to the demon territory without a moment's rest. On the other side, townspeople gather outside the wall of flames, desperately worried about their loved ones trapped inside. Then they see a figure walking out through the fire. It's Sinchishar. He raises a hand and behind him the townspeople follow, safe and unharmed. Everyone rushes into each other's arms, overjoyed to have survived. Elbija walks up to Sinchishar and tells him what he just saw. He suspects the explosion was caused by those demons, but Sinchishar dismisses the idea and thinks back to what happened just moments ago. After Rutherland pressed the button, the cave collapsed in an instant. I immediately gave the order, "Demon generals, protect everyone. Make sure no one gets hurt." The 3 demon generals each unleash their powers and hold a firm shield around every single townsperson. Meanwhile, Rutherland has completely lost his mind, consumed by hysterical laughter. He's ultimately crushed to death by falling debris. At that moment, Sinchishar called out to me, "I'll handle the rescue. Take the seeds and go. Plant the seeds of peace in the demon lands." Coming back to the present, Sinchishar notices that Dairo is digging through the rubble for something. Elbija asks, puzzled, "Why was Jin Changzhe in such a rush to leave? He could have gone to the royal capital to claim his reward." Sinchishar jokes, "Maybe he made such a mess of everyone's property that he got scared and ran." Something clicks in Elbija's mind at those words. He ventures carefully, "So those demons I saw..." Sinchishar cuts in quickly, "I told you, there were no demons. And didn't the villagers say they never saw any demons either? If they were demons, why would they protect the townspeople?" Elbija falls silent. Just then, Dairo, who has been digging for a long time, finally unearths a freeze-dried potato. He shouts, "We can offer this to His Majesty the King!" The 2 of them are left completely speechless. The scene shifts. Behind Magrath Fortress, a trail of bubbles rises to the surface of the river. I am leading the 3 demon generals across the water, since the kingdom's defenses on this side are relatively lax. We choose to slip through a blind spot. The demon generals each possess the strength of a sword saint. Slipping through unofficial routes should be effortless. But things don't quite go as planned. The moment they surface, soldiers on the wall spot them. Fortunately, the distance is too great and no alarm is raised. The soldiers write them off as a pack of wild beasts and think nothing more of it. On the other side, inside a thatched cottage in the Forsaken Lands, the little demon girl and her father have just finished a full meal. The man asks his daughter if she'd like more, and the little demon girl shakes her head. She's had enough. She adds that they should eat sparingly, because if the demon king can't bring back the seeds, this might be the last of their food. The man says, "Have faith in the demon king. He'll get those seeds. I know he will." The little demon girl says, "Even if he can't, that's okay, because I've already had one full meal. I'm truly so grateful for that." But the very next second, a joyful cry rings out from outside the door. The demon king is back. The demon king got the seeds. The little demon girl dashes outside, and there he is, the demon king returning in triumph with the 3 demon generals, seeds slung over his shoulder. She leaps happily into Asura's arms. The small dragon nuzzles up against me affectionately. At that moment, I glance over at Hartok beside me and say with praise, "This is exactly why you're the wisest among the demon clan. It's because of you that every obstacle was overcome." Hartok is so moved on the spot that he chokes up. My gaze drifts elsewhere. Circe is surrounded by a crowd of cheering demons. Every face around me is lit up with a warm, genuine smile. More and more, this place feels like home. Once we've settled in, I begin sorting through the seeds we brought back from Daparazi. Rice seeds are the most plentiful, but given the complex preparation they require and the unsuitable climate, they'll have to wait for now. After the rice, the largest stockpile is corn seeds. Beyond that, there are pumpkins and beans. So at the Demon Clan Assembly, I announced that we'll cultivate these 3 crops using the smallest area of land in the most efficient way possible. This is the renowned 3 Sisters planting method. The 3 Sisters means growing 3 companion crops together in the same plot of land. I explain, the beans will climb up the corn stalks as they grow. Hartok picks up from there and says, the beans protect the corn, shielding it from strong winds and other outside threats. I continue, and the ground will be blanketed by pumpkins with their broad, wide leaves. Hartok, a planting genius, adds once more, that way, the soil stays moist and weeds are kept under control. Circe, who hasn't understood a word, listens with a blank stare and just urges me to hurry up and get the planting started. Asurath also asks where we should begin. I tell them to be patient. With every demon gathered here right now, we have more than enough manpower to move things along quickly. But Japiros warns that mobilizing demons from the other districts won't be easy, because at this very moment, demons across 3 districts are locked in duels, all fighting to claim the top spot. Looking at the plant-type demons beating each other up right before my eyes, I feel a headache coming on. But then an idea comes comes to me. I'll set up a set of absolutely fair duel rules. Later, Hartok comes by to watch the demons duel, but he takes one look and turns to walk away. The little demon girl and her father find it strange that he's not stepping in to stop the fighting. Another member of the farming crew also grumbles about those demons not doing any work. The little demon girl's father guesses that the Demon King must have something else in mind. After all, having just the 4 demon generals trying to manage this many demons is a stretch. They're probably waiting for new district lords to emerge. Until then, those demons will tear each other apart without a second thought, and the weaker ones will simply get eliminated. Nearby, the demons from District 3 accidentally knock over the tent belonging to the Little Crab family while brawling. The Little Crab family is heartbroken. All of this is watched from above by Azarath. The little demon girl happens to come looking for him and asks, "Those guys keep fighting. Why isn't the Demon King doing anything about it?" Azarath says, "Because once we step in, we'll have no way of telling who has real leadership potential." At that moment, they notice a fallen shell-type demon about to come crashing down on the Little Crab. In the nick of time, an old turtle rolls over and uses his shell to deflect the shell-type demon, saving the child. He wobbles to his feet and walks to the center of the dueling ground, saying, "That's enough out of all of you. There's more than enough work to do with the farming, and here you are fighting while everything around you is in a mess." Asurath, who is about to step in himself, watches the old turtle, who is clearly frightened, yet doing his best to appear calm, and something stirs inside him. But the shell-type demon is not having it, snapping, "You think you're strong enough to order me around? A lowly demon like you. If you're going to interfere with the duel, you'd better be ready to pay for it." Before the words even finish, both sides of the duel charge at the old turtle at the same time. But the old turtle has a trick up his sleeve. He pulls into his shell. A burst of golden light flashes from his body. Both demons are instantly blinded. The old turtle seizes the moment and escapes with the crab family. Meanwhile, in District 2, a leaf-type demon woman makes her way over to an injured comrade. She heals his wounds. The tree root demon says in disbelief, "Don't you know? I'm the reason your home got destroyed." The woman says quietly, "I know. Even so, I can't just leave you here in pain. I know all too well what it feels like to hurt." Every word is heard by Circe, who is perched hidden in the tree above. At the same time, a young snake person seeks out Hartok, asking to learn how to farm. Hartok looks the young snake person over in silence, then says skeptically, "Your arms are too short and you have no legs. What could you possibly do?" The young snake person points toward the nearby farmland and says, "I can plow the fields. If we can bring in the harvest sooner, everyone will stop fighting and we can all live in peace." Hartok falls quiet at that, then refuses flatly with a firm tone, "I don't see how you'd be any help. Go on, leave." He turns and walks away, but the young snake person's determination holds firm. To prove himself, he curls his body into a coil right then and there, and plows the earth in neat spirals, quick and clean. Hartok, who catches the movement, breaks into a quiet, satisfied smile. By now, having heard the reports from the demon generals on the list of district leader candidates, I think to myself, what the demon clan needs right now is a world where everyone can live in peace and stability. A leader must unite the people through empathy, compassion, and tolerance. So I instruct them to gather the demons and kick off the elimination rounds. Hartok says, "The candidates you have your eye on are all lacking in strength. They'd have no chance in a straight fight." I flash a meaningful smile and say, "Have you ever heard of a little something called fixing?" With that, the district leader selection tournament officially begins. I announce right then and there that this selection will not be decided by combat. Instead, it will use an entirely new method: rock, paper, scissors. I lay out the rules in full. Each competing warrior can hold a different weapon in hand. The fist clenched tight, rock, is a massive hammer capable of shaking the earth. 2 fingers extended, scissors, is a blade so sharp it can cleave the sky itself. When it comes to paper, I honestly can't think of anything, so I gloss over it. I go on. These 3 weapons have a countering relationship with each other. The hammer can smash the blade. The blade can cut through paper. Paper beats rock. That's clear enough, right? Anyone who still doesn't understand, raise your hand. The moment I finish speaking, a chunk of the demons all raise their hands at once. I eliminate them on the spot. If their brains are that slow, they're no use in a fight either. Seeing the crowd cut nearly in half, I continue. On the call of rock, scissors, paper, both warriors must decide at the same time what weapon they're going to show. The moment draw is called. Each player reveals the weapon in one hand simultaneously. Whoever reads the situation faster and reacts with better precision is the winner. Right now, looking at Asurath's rock against her own paper, Circe happily wraps her hand around his fist and cheers with delight. "Yes, I win." Circe's girlish, carefree joy makes Asurath's face flush red without him even realizing it. The air between them turns soft and sweet, but I shatter the mood without a second thought. My mind entirely on the task at hand, I once again eliminate every demon who failed to grasp the rules. With the dim ones weeded out, I announce that the duels will begin with District 3, but the old turtle stands there all alone, saying that everyone else from District 3 has already been eliminated. He's the only one left, so I appoint him the new district lord without a second thought. Nearby, Rast, still tied to the rack, roars and protests in outrage. I deal with him on the spot with a good shock of electroshock therapy. Meanwhile, the young snake person is squaring off against an adult snake person in a round of rock, paper, scissors. Seeing the adult throw scissors, the young snake person, who threw paper, is absolutely crushed. But the young snake person is so tiny that the adult snake can barely even make out what was thrown. I hurry over to stand beside the two of them. pretending to observe closely, then declare outright that the young snake person wins. The same thing happens in round after round that follows, until the young snake person takes it all the way to the final victory. With 2 districts settled, only the last round of District 2 remains. At this point, the tree root demon facing the leaf-type demon woman says with a sneer, "You never had any fighting ability to begin with, and your body is in no shape to compete properly either." Just then, my system suddenly speaks up, so that's where that legend comes from. The scene shifts. The human realm, the royal capital of Makanika. Inside the palace, Sinchishar stares at the magic staff in his hand. Recalling that day when the Demon King transformed it into a holy sword, he reflects to himself, "I can vaguely remember now, across my past lives, I have seen this weapon in its true form. Even in times when I was far weaker than I am now, it unleashed overwhelming power. But how did the hand of fate draw out its original form?" He waves the magic staff around a few times. Nothing happens. He thinks, after all, I was once a puppet. I have never once lived according to my own will, so something like this is beyond me. If I could draw out the weapon's true form through my own will alone, would I finally be free from the fate of a puppet? Albija walks into the room at that moment, saying that King is very pleased with the freeze-dried potatoes. At those words, something sparks in Sinchishar's mind. He looks over at Albija and asks calmly, "May I ask a favor of you?" The scene shifts again. Inside the palace, the king makes a solemn announcement. Given that the demon territory harbors countless mysteries yet unknown to mankind, he hereby appoints Blonda Macento as commander of the expeditionary force to conduct a thorough search of every corner of the demon lands. Meanwhile, since this is the final decisive round, the demons are all buzzing with excitement, yet no one gives the plant-type demon woman any chance of winning. She looks at her hands, both covered in leaves, and is just about to forfeit when I cut her off with a sharp shout. Any gutless quitter goes straight in the pot. The plant-type demon woman goes quiet out of fright. I give a slight nod toward the 4 demon generals. They immediately know what to do. I then announce the start of the match, but in the very next second, I let out a deliberate, "Oh my," at an angle where the plant-type demon woman can't see. The 4 demon generals move like phantoms, raising their weapons and lunging toward the tree root demon in a sudden, terrifying rush. The tree root demon panics and instinctively show rock. The crowd of demons is stunned into silence, and I, trembling with excitement, tears welling in my eyes, declare, "She is the one spoken of in legend, the one who wins before the match even begins." There's no need to go any further. The District Lord of District 2 is Nuff. I lead the 4 demon generals in paying our respects to her right then and there. The tree root demon protests, "Just now the 4 demon generals were behind me. He doesn't get to finish." The 4 demon generals fix him with a stare so fierce it looks like they might swallow him whole, and he shuts up immediately. With all 3 district lords decided, I declare the tournament closed. The results are final and not up for debate. I know full well this was far too heavy-handed and will leave many demons deeply unhappy. But I know one thing for certain, the demon clan's culture is in complete disarray right now. The old order has to be torn down. After a rallying speech, I begin assigning tasks to each district. First up, expanding the farmland. This will be pushed forward at full speed with the abilities of the 4th District Lord, the young snake person Cheetah, and the adult snake people. The first crop to go in the ground is corn. With plant-type demons who have more hands than most, it's no trouble at all. Noth's healing abilities can also accelerate the corn's growth. Once the corn stalks reach finger-width thickness, beans will be planted around them. The beans fix nitrogen into the soil to protect the corn, and more importantly, they restore the nutrients the corn depletes from the earth. Next, the pumpkins planted along the ridges will be allowed to spread out and cover the ground. The 3rd District Lord, Old Turtle Tumba, and his kin will serve as reflectors to regulate the sunlight. Each of the 3 sisters is fragile on its own, but together, they can survive and thrive even in the most barren soil. A true miracle of unity and cooperation. But then, out of nowhere, a rumble of thunder rolls across the sky. In an instant, dark clouds close in from all sides. I think to myself, even in the demon realm, it seems the weather has a mind of its own. That night, I toss and turn, unable to sleep. The air feels thick, hot and damp. Something doesn't feel right. I bolt toward the farmland. I activate Blood Eye on the corn. The system warns me immediately. All nearby corn is currently suffering cellular damage from a lethal fungal infection. Fungal spores are projected to spread rapidly, resulting in total crop failure. I stare at the yellowing leaves on the corn and my heart sinks. Corn sheath blight. At the same time, at the entrance to the Forsaken Lands, the slumbering forest, Blonda arrives at the edge of the forest with his troops, but the moment they step inside, they lose all sense of direction. One of his men suggests making camp right there, but Blonda insists the area is too exposed to monster attacks. They need to push through and get out first. On the other side, I call an emergency assembly and announce, "The corn has been struck by a plague. We need to act fast to contain it." I have Cersei cut down every corn stalk showing spots first. Hartok coordinates with me and orders the farming crew to collect the diseased stalks as they're cut. Bahal then commands Eco to breathe fire, incinerating all the infected corn. This is to prevent the fungal spores from spreading further. At the same time, I have Noth and her kin reinforce the cell walls of the nearby corn to suppress the spores. But this approach is hard to sustain for long. My heart sinks and my mind races. The little demon girl stands nearby watching the young corn seedlings burn and asks Asrath with a heavy heart, "If the freeze-dried potatoes run out, are we going going to go hungry again? Asura gently pats her on the head and says, don't worry. Demon King Kratos will find a way. He always does. In my mind right now, I'm thinking, what we need is a fungicide, but nothing like that exists in this world. A chemical compound that can cut off fungal respiration and halt cellular activity. Then suddenly it hits me. The abnormal status condition in Blood Oath Holy Night, fungal infection, and its remedy is a plant called flame moss. I call out immediately, Asurath, take the demons from District 2 to the decaying swamp, gather the moss there that glows red and bring it back. Asurath's face lights up with a quiet smile at that. He turns to the little demon girl and says softly, see, I told you, didn't I? He then leads the plant-type demons and sets off. I don't let up either. I ask Hartok to set up rotation shifts for Noth and her team, then head out with a heavy mind. I need to make a trip to the ruins of the old Demon King's castle. Meanwhile, on the other side, Blonda and his group come upon a strange structure covered in staircases from top to bottom. One of his men spots a hollow in the wall that looks like a keyhole and reaches out to touch it. The moment he makes contact, the keyhole explodes with a fierce blue light. The man crumples to the ground on the spot, as if the light has drained the life right out of him. Blonda shouts for everyone to fall back, but it's already too late. Every one of his men behind him has their life force drained at the same time. Even Blonda himself is not spared. All that life energy converges into a single stream of light, surging upward toward the top of the structure. The blue pillar of light shooting into the sky is so striking that it even catches my attention. I recognize the direction it's coming from, the slumbering forest, and a sense of dread washes over me. On that side, Blonda is barely clinging to life. He strains to lift his gaze toward the top of the structure. A female demon is standing there. The next second, she flies down and stops right in front of Blonda. She writes a line in the air with her power. Thank you, human. The life energy of 10 people is more than enough to break my seal. Blonda takes in her appearance and the details of her clothing, and recognizes her as the Demon King Ildisti. In District 2, the plant-type demons are diligently harvesting flame moss. When a subordinate reports that all the nearby moss has been collected, Asurath calls for the return. But just then, he notices someone approaching. He says with a note of irritation, which district are you from? The woman writes in the air, why are districts 3 and 4 empty? Asurath answers impatiently. Obviously, they're all out working in the cornfields. Who do you think you are, wandering around here like this? Before the words even land, the woman's red clothing suddenly transforms into razor-sharp energy tendrils, and in an instant, they tear straight through Asurath's body. The plant-type demons standing nearby are also caught in it. None of them are spared. Back at my end, I'm still digging furiously at the ruins of the old Demon King's castle. My mind racing, that light just now had to have come from the Tomb of Seals. Sleeping in that place is the former Demon King Ildisti. In the game, she's the hidden boss you encounter when you enter the Tomb of Seals. Easily the hardest fight in the entire game. By the lore, the previous Demon King, Modrato, spent nearly all of his power to seal her away, leaving her with only one arm that can barely move. It took me 10 full runs and 50 encounters before I barely managed to capture her. With that thought, I throw down the shovel. I activate Thorn of Retribution to tear through the earth faster. Out in the fields, things have taken a turn for the worse on multiple fronts. Noth collapses from exhaustion after using her healing abilities for so long without a break. And on top of that, crew members discover that the corn sheath blight has already begun to spread. As everyone stands there sick with worry, a figure comes crashing down from above. It's Ildisti, arriving straight from the decaying swamp. Hartok seethes. Do you have a death wish? You dare trample on this precious land. But in the next second, he goes completely still. Ildisti writes in the air, why is the Demon King's castle gone? Where is Modrato? Hartok's stomach drops. She's Ildisti. He answers in a tense voice. After sealing you away, Modrato, who became Demon King, has since died. The demon clan is now ruled by Kratos. Ildisti asks again, why are you farming? Hartok says it is Demon King Kratos' will, an attempt to free our kind from a fate of survival through endless conflict. Ildisti falls into a brief silence, then writes, from this moment on, I am the Demon King. Stop the farming. Circe can't hold back any longer. She charges at Ildisti with her sword drawn, screaming, who gave you the right to call yourself Demon King? The other two demon generals launch their attacks at the same moment, but their strength is nothing before Ildisti. She subdues all three of them with ease, then writes 2 lines in the air, where is Kratos? I'm going to kill him. At those words, the small dragon suddenly bursts out of Jeperos' arms and breathes a blast of frozen air at Ildisti. But Ildisti deflects it without effort and moves to take the small dragon's life in the same motion. At the critical moment, I appear, holding Modrato's heart in my hand. I squeeze it hard. A barrier instantly unfolds in front of the small dragon, throwing the witch's energy tendrils straight back, and the witch ends up getting slapped across the face by her own rebounding tendrils several times over. The Modrato's heart I'm holding draws from the power of Modrato, who is far stronger than me. He was originally one of Ildisti's 4 demon generals. After absorbing the power of the other 3 demon generals, he challenged her directly. He used the power of those 3 demon generals to seal away Ildisti's voice, then used every last bit of his own magic to seal away her body. But fear never let Modrato rest easy, and in the end he condensed the power of his flesh and blood into a single protective artifact. His heart was later obtained by Kratos, before I took over his body. Now, staring at the barrier before her, Ildisti writes, I don't know what kind of barrier this is, but I should kill those two behind it first. With that, her tendrils lock onto Bahal and Circe. I quickly tell them to run toward me, then thrust my arm through the barrier, and yank both of them inside in one motion. Ildisti gets slapped by the rebounding tendrils again, seeing the shock flash across her eyes. I explain cheerfully, this barrier was made just for you. Everyone else can move in and out freely, except you. And then I stick my head out to taunt her. Ildisti strikes in a fury, but I snap my head back quickly, and the tendrils miss. Looking at her frustration, I burst out laughing. Then I turn serious and ask, what is it you actually want? And why did you attack my people? Ildisti forces down her rage. She asks if I'm the current Demon King. I say yes. She tells me she's going to kill me and take back the throne, so I ask her what she plans to do once she becomes Demon King. She writes impatiently, crush the human lands into dust, obviously. I just stare at her and say, you don't have to fight. We can live well just by farming. Ildisti fires back that this land is completely unfit for farming. I stare at her utterly at a loss for words, then turn around and gesture proudly at the fields behind me. All of this was tended to by my kids, working together as a team. Ildisti stares at that and finds herself genuinely puzzled. She thinks ever since a moment ago, this Demon King has been behaving very strangely. He clearly just saved his subordinates, and he actually calls those demons weaker than himself, my kids. I hold up Madrado's heart and tell her, be a good girl and go on home. She sighs and actually turns to leave, so I lower the barrier and call everyone back to work. But Ildisti was only pretending to withdraw. The moment she sees the barrier come down, she lunges at me with her claws in an instant. I had also dropped the barrier on purpose to draw her out. I slam the heart down hard into the ground just below her. Her hand plunges straight into the barrier again, and no matter how hard she pulls, she can't get free. I calmly turn and walk away. Circe asks, you're just going to leave her like that? I say sooner or later she will starve to death. Just then the little demon girl runs up to Circe, asking anxiously if she's alright. But Circe notices that Ildisti has entered a berserk state. The clothing on her body is steadily dissolving into energy tendrils. She quickly pulls the little demon girl close and snaps at Ildisti. Have some decency. There's a child here. Surprisingly, Ildisti actually reins it in, pulling her clothes back into place. And when she sees me calmly directing the demons back to work, something shakes deep inside her. The demons are actually helping each other. How is that even possible? Time passes, and the sun blazes overhead. The scorching heat gradually drains Ildisti's strength. The little demon girl walks up to her and asks politely, did you happen to pass by a serious-looking young man on your way here? Beside her, Circe corrects without thinking, Asura is actually quite handsome when you look closely. The little demon girl quickly apologizes, sorry, you're Azarath's lover. Of course you think he's the most handsome man in the world. Circe's face turns crimson on the spot and she stammers, what are you talking about? We're just colleagues. Those familiar words pull Ildisti back into the past. Back then, full of life and fire, she had once said to her 4 demon generals, my comrades, let us cut the roots of the demon clan's suffering together. And here on my end, I activate Blood Eye on the corn seedlings again. Every fragile stalk lights up with the same warning, infected. I curse under my breath, damn it, without a fungicide, nothing's going to stop this infection. And in my chest, a knot of anxiety tightens, where is Asurath? Why isn't he back yet? At that moment, the system announces that Blood Eye has leveled up. Sustained gaze without blinking reduced to 100 seconds. Prediction of the observed target's future state extended to 7 hours. Observation of the target's thoughts and psychological details is now more precise, and slowly, an idea begins to take shape in my mind. Meanwhile, Circe asks Ildisti once more if she's seen Azarath. Ildisti writes weakly, why are you so desperate to find him? Circe says, because if he doesn't get back soon, our entire harvest is going to be wiped out. Ildisti writes, if the crops are destroyed, just eat whoever's standing next to you. This infuriates Circe so much that she draws her sword on the spot. I step in just in time to hold Circe back. I walk slowly over to Ildisti's side and say quietly, why didn't you kill Asurath? Ildisti writes, he'll become a useful fighter for me eventually. I just left him alive for now. I know she's lying. I activate Blood Eye on her directly and catch a glimpse of a fragment of memory from her past. In that memory, she is leading her demon army from victory to victory, pressing all the way to the walls of a human city, as her demon generals discuss how to handle the humans inside. A complicated feeling stirs quietly in Ildisti. She thinks, does our hunger really have to be solved through battle and predation? What if we could live the way humans do? The thought barely forms before she gives the order. Effective immediately. Halt the advance on human territory. All forces return home. Madrado objects on the spot, calling her out of her mind. Ildisti says, have you forgotten the promise we made when we were children, Madrado? I'm pulling back to build a demon clan that doesn't have to feed on its own kind. You all saw it on the way here, didn't you? The humans are farming. Let's try doing that ourselves. But reality is cruel and it shatters her dream. The demon clan's barren, exhausted land refuses to yield any crop, no matter what they try. Just as she sinks into despair, a small demon comes to deliver a message. My king, Lord Madrado is waiting for you in the slumbering forest. She goes as arranged, but when she arrives, she finds 3 crosses standing at the top of the structure, and bound to them are her 3 demon generals, completely drained of power, not a breath left in them. She cries out their names in grief, not for a moment aware of the presence that has crept up behind her. Madrado presses a mask soaked in power over her mouth and nose. He channels the combined strength of the 3 demon generals to seal away her voice. then says coldly, I had originally planned to do this after you made easy work of taking human lands, but now, I'm going to kill you and take the throne for myself. Ildisti summons a pair of wings and tries to flee, but Madrato is prepared. He manipulates tree branches to cut off every escape route, then hurls his sword and sends her crashing down to the ground. He says darkly, we demons possess the greatest power in existence. We were meant to claim everything, and then you said you wanted to farm. How utterly ridiculous. Ildisti, heartbroken, writes out a single line, didn't we agree we'd save the demon clan together? You said you'd be with me. Madrato sneers, you've been strange since you were a child, the strongest demon alive yet naive and foolish to the end. He raises his blade and declares in triumph, this is the true nature of demonkind, and